What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tej pack. Tej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliate and scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing, my favorite part about Tej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tej pack. Feel the Tej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I can't find my gold Rolex. I don't know if I left it down at my office. I don't know what the heck is going on, but I'm not really tripping about it too much simply because it's somewhere. It is definitely somewhere. So we're going to figure that out. We're going to find it, and we're not going to make a big stink about it. We're not going to make a big deal about it. But it is Monday, September 18th, 2023, year of our Lord. Anton is literally working from home, as you can see today, simply because Rita has some stuff that she has to take care of. I got to make sure that some stuff is taken care of before I go out of town from a business perspective that's closer to where I live at. I also need to get some things taken care of with regard to working with the city for building some of these properties. So there is no dull moments as far as what it is that we have to deal with on a regular basis. So I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with us. And I love that you guys continue to hold me down, adding value into our lives. And so thank you. Thank you for always making sure that we're taken care of, looking out for us on every single front. And you know, I can't express any more than I have already the amount of appreciation that I have for you guys every single day as far as adding value into my life and doing the things that we do on a regular basis. So I just want to start off by that. And then I also want to get a mental health check. So let me find out how you guys is feeling after this weekend. What are your thoughts? Give me one word, and then we're going to get into the show. Give me one word based off of how you feel and what your mental health is, right? One word. How you feeling? Are you feeling down? Are you feeling great? Are you in a great space? Did you have a great weekend? You know, your chick getting on your nerve, your man cheated on you. Let me know in one word. One word, give me one word to help me to understand of how you guys are feeling this morning on this Monday morning, September 18th, 2023. Somebody said motivated, amazing, positive, fantastic, optimistic, locked in, refreshed, excellent, thankful, productive. Let me see what else we got coming in here. Excellent, phenomenal, ascension. I feel ecstatic, good, I'm okay, tired, secured. Somebody been partying this weekend, Sabrina. Nervous, relaxed, rejuvenated, powerful, so, good, loved, sleep deprived, blessed, tired, I'm all right, great, Hungover. That's not good. Good. Worked the entire weekend. That means that you ran the bag up, black silver chair. I hungry, peaceful, blessed, good. Effervescent. I don't even know what that means. Relaxed, motivated, bag chaser, good, blessed, hungry, peaceful, fatigued, encouraged, not bad, tired, gratifying, blessed, stuffy nose, no, working. Tired, and the day just began. How do y'all be tired when the day just began? Tired, the gym is kicking my A. Feeling beautiful. I like that. Blessed and highly favored. McDonald's. You went and got some McDonald's, Ricardo? Refreshed, worried. What are you worried about, Jose? What are you worried about, Jose? Let me know what you're worried. I got ready, autopilot. I need to know what y'all worried about. It seems like everybody is worried. Fighting a cold, blessed, blessed. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the show. Because I got some sentiments and I got a theme that's going on with the show. And it's basically I called it No Mercy for a reason, right? Shout out to Elliot Jackson with the early super chat. He says, life is kicking my A, but we still motivated. I'm going to have to start deep diving into y'all lives a little bit more. Shout out to Elliot Jackson. I appreciate you for the super chat. Let me also give a shout out to Mike, that dude on Cash App. I appreciate you also for the 10 ball. And then let me give a shout out to Ken for the 5 ball. Byron Alexander Sr. for the 10 ball. And everybody that supports me on the app. Terrell Wright, I appreciate you. Kingdom Minded 1121 for the 20 ball. Mr. Youngblood, Melvin Johnson Sr. And Isaiah Brim and Hyde. Shout out to everybody that's on Cash App that hold me down and on PayPal. I never asked for super chats. I never asked for Cash Apps and everything like that. But you guys see the value that I bring every day morning and get your day started off great. And so I have to acknowledge everybody that supports the platform. Also, let me just get some housekeeping out of the way, and then we're going to go ahead and get cooking. Shout out to Elliot Jackson for the 2 ball. I appreciate you. We got the Q show. I decided to name it Hey Q. Yep. She don't even know it yet, but I'm going to change the name. So I decided to name Q show on Monday night Hey Q. So make sure that you tune in for that. It's a crazy show. It's a great show, and we have a lot of fun on the platform and on the panel. So that's at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. Make sure you tune in to the other Anton Daniels channel. That link is in the description. Also, make sure that you shout out Anton Daniels on all of your favorite platforms, including Instagram, Threads, what used to be known as Twitter, which is now X. All of those links to all of my social media is in the description. I will never reach out to you on some business type time on social media. So if you see any other alternative accounts, I don't have any backup accounts. I don't have any other those type of accounts. So it is not me. If somebody reaches out to you and they say they want you to invest in crypto or they want to do something with you and all of that type, it is not me. If it is not one of these accounts that's in the description and I only do business through email, then make sure that you go ahead and report them and delete them. And so this week I'm going to be addressing all of those. I'm going to be getting those up out of there. But in the meantime, do not get finessed by any account that is not mine. I am not them. They are not me. And it's some scammer somewhere that's trying to get you out of a bag. All right. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. I put in the Patreon last week where we're going to be doing our meetup or the date or whatever. And so I need to get a idea of how many people are going to be there just in case I need to switch up the venue. And then we're going to give updates on the venue as we continue to trend forward. And then I got a couple of updates that I'm dropping inside of the Patreon, including one with Erica's Classy Climb, Erica Williams. And then I also have some templates that I want you guys to have in order to help you guys continue to level up. And then I'm going to be giving you more information. I'm dropping that later on this week or early next week as far as what you guys can expect as far as pitching me your businesses, because I'm allocating money to be able to invest in your businesses in late November. So all of that is coming, but you do not have access to it if you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, if you're not a part of the Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, make sure you get that Teach Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. So let's go ahead and get started with the show. All right. I want to start here. Let's start here. So before we start to get into all of the deep diving, the money, the strikes, the Biden ruining the auto industry, allegedly, all that type of stuff, right? Before we start the deep dive, because we're going to have a real come to Jesus moment today, I feel like, on the Millionaire Morning Show. Before we get into it, it seems like, and I always like to say that it's like a spirit in the air. It's like a spirit in the air in which it's like everybody is breaking up. Everybody breaking up, everybody getting divorced. It's like this spirit in the air where there's division within relationships to the point to where it's all happening at the same time and it's all playing out at the same time. Now, I could be off in that. Maybe it's just that most people that are having problems in their relationships is just now coming to a head in which it's all being broadcast, because when you are a public figure, it's all being put out, to the general public. But I also see this thing happening in regular everyday people's lives, right? Because I'm out in the streets. I was out and about yesterday. I get the sentiment of the people. I meet a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. Shout out to my people over there at Penny Reds and at the Brakeman, downtown Detroit. Y'all was kicking it with me. Y'all took care of me as far as in a restaurant. I appreciate y'all. I do not forget you. I will salute you. I always take care of my people. So shout out to everybody that ran into me in downtown Detroit yesterday and over the weekend. But when people have a conversation with me in person, and it's not just what it is that I'm seeing online as far as celebrities. You had Jeezy and Jenny Ma, obviously. There's allegations about Papoose and Remy Ma and that she cheated. And then you got the whole Shirley Strawberry thing, and her husband is in prison. And then he over there talking on a prison phone and having conversations back and forth about, what it is that he got going on in his relationship. And then he over there over talking and throwing Steve Harvey and him under the bus, allegedly, right? And then I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Shout out to P. Shank. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. What the heck is going on when everybody is just completely going their own way and divesting themselves and divorcing? And I don't care whether or not it's cordial or it's not or anything like that. I'm just genuinely curious, like, why is everybody, it seems like everybody except for me, good grief, am I y'all last hope? Why is everybody getting a divorce or separating or going their own way or whatever like that? What is that? And I'm genuinely curious. I'm curious as to what y'all got going on. Gregory Wright said, I just left my 7-year relationship 2 weeks ago. What is happening? What is happening? I don't get it. Shout out to Black Silver Chair. I'm going to be reading those super chats shortly. I don't know. I just genuinely don't know. And I don't know if this is what's normal and it's just being played out in front of the social media audience because we're now more connected than we ever have been, or what. But let me give you a little bit of insight of what it is that I'm talking about. So you guys sent this to me yesterday. Literally yesterday. I'm chilling. I get into the crib. I make sure that Fight Club is going off well and all of that. And then I open up my emails and I see you guys sent this to me, right? So let me share this with you. So I open up my email and I see what's happening with Tiana Taylor, right? Now, Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert have been rocking out, as far as I can remember, for probably like 10 years now, right? And so somebody sent this to me and I'm like, why is Tiana Taylor less than 1 day ago announcing to the general public what's going on between her and her husband, right? And she puts, not too much on my bestie. In all fairness, Iman and I are separated and have been for a while. Right? To be 1,000% clear, infidelity ain't one of the reasons for our departure. So they already got a lead with letting you know that infidelity ain't it, right? Infidelity ain't one of the reasons for our departure. We are still the best of friends, great business partners, and are one hell of a team when it comes to co-parenting our 2 beautiful children. Now let's stop there, right? Let's stop there. Before we really start the deep dive into it, let's stop there. Because can you really be best friends and be a team when you have been separated for an extended period of time? If for a guy, for a man, let me speak to my fellas really quickly. If you find your chick at some point in a relationship with another man, kissing on him, laying up, opening up her legs to him, introducing possibly her kids to him at some point, can you really still be the best of friends? I'm just curious. Can you still really be the best of friends? For the ladies, can you divest yourself or still be rocking out with the guy that is the father of your children and who you both have admitted to busting down random side chicks together? Can you still look at him as a business partner and as one of your best friends? Because see, I see all of this cordialness. I feel like people are still trying to, let me stop. Look at me, I'm in my feminine energy. I believe that people are still trying to protect the bag as far as making sure that they put out these posts and it's very curated and they're very careful about not tearing each other down, which is cool because most of the time you see stuff get messy and you see stuff starting to play out in the public, and it's not actually a good thing for the children or for the people that's involved because it starts to mess up the bags. But in a general sense, when we're talking about this and we're having these conversations in truth, is it really realistic to say, to be 1000% clear, infidelity ain't one of the reasons for our departure and we are still the best of friends? Okay, well, what could it possibly be? What could it possibly be? If he didn't cheat on you, which everybody is accusing him of, if he didn't cheat on you and y'all the best of friends and y'all great co-parents, which means that y'all great parents together, y'all got the best interest of the children and at heart, and y'all one hell of a team, and you still consider yourself family because it says, most importantly, we are family and 10 years together, 7 years married. We ain't never played with or about that. We just keep y'all asses out of the group chat, which is the reason why we've been able to successfully and peacefully separate without all of the outside noise. The only reason I'm even sharing this, part of the chat is because the narratives are getting a little out of hand and it's unfair to all the parties involved. I hope this provided some clarity for y'all. Okay, Auntie. If all of that is true, if y'all great co-parents, nobody is cheating on anybody, 2 children, beautiful team, hell of a family, still got the group chat rocking, why are y'all not together? It ain't like he's still young. It ain't like she's still young, right? Because in all honesty, congratulations for keeping it together for the sake of the family and you not throwing each other under the bus. That's admirable. But realistically, possibly be the reason. It's not money. It's not irreconcilable differences. It's not somebody cheated according to what it is that you're saying. What could possibly be the reason? I'm just curious. You got kids together. When you have kids together, that's not the time that you start to separate yourself. Now, when your kids is grown and they're out of the house and they doing whatever it is that they want to do or whatever, and they living their life and you've raised your kids and you put into them whatever it is that you want to put into them, isn't that the time to stay together? It seems as though people have children and then they decide to get divorced. It used to be to where children was the thing that kept you together. It wasn't the thing that separated you. But it's almost like people become the best of friends and they great and all of this other type of stuff when they're single or when they get married or they just together. And then it seems like as soon as you introduce a child into the situation, you got the whole Jeezy, Jenny Moss situation. You got the Tiana Taylor, Iman Shumpert situation. Now everybody is just want to be co-parents. And so I'm just rethinking this thing and I'm just trying to understand it. And I'm genuinely trying to figure out what the heck is going on out here in these streets. Here, let me share with y'all this because this is some historic footage. And this kind of substantiates my argument when I say certain things and I try to have a conversation with y'all and I try to tell y'all that y'all need to start playing it a little bit differently. And just because y'all look up to celebrities because they look cute together and they're your favorite celebrities and all of that, that does not mean that they have the blueprint for how to be successfully married. That does not mean your favorite celebrity has the blueprint for how to be successfully married.
Is this something that you guys have done frequently in having menage a trois?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that's the mix up. You know what I'm saying? People hear it and think that is like a thing where it's like every day we just taking bitches down. Like that's not that. It just be those times where like we just like if we on vacation, like our anniversary, like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just certain times where like, you know, like in the beginning I wanted to try it. Like I said, I'm Dora the Explorer. Like Bob backpack, shorts, t-shirt, like Yeah,
That's not what Dora's about.
I know that's not what Dora's about, and I feel so bad.
Well,
She's
Junie just
the
know.
show.
Junie know. Once you start watching Dora, it's not about that.
And I feel so bad. I'm curious, George. Like I want to see
How many children's cartoons can you make sexual?
I mean, she's around it all the time now.
I get it.
I know.
So, considering that, right? And then right after that, you get this. Right after that, you get this. A little bit later, right? I think we've lost our way as a society. Who we look up to, what we celebrate, what we've normalized, the thing that we think is culturally correct, what we identify as marriage, looking at things from a business perspective, preferring to co-parent, not placing the kids first, who it is that we choose as our spouses. Men don't understand women. Women don't understand men. Everybody got too many options. Everybody publicly lives out every aspect of their lives to be criticized and have that influence what we have going on inside of relationships. And what we consider to be successfully in a relationship or married today is totally upside down. And I think that we need to have a reset. We need to really have a reset, and we really need to come back to the drawing board to help people to understand what it means to be in a relationship, why you should or shouldn't have kids, what the implications are. And I'm not even just talking about from a celebrity perspective. I'm talking about just from a normal, everyday dog. Everybody think that they're celebrities now. Even regular, everyday people think that they're a celebrity. I don't know how many women go and order themselves some gear from Shein, and then they get some Lululemon joggers, they get some butterfly eyelashes, and they get some hair with some baby hairs on their head, and then all of a sudden they're an Instagram model. All of a sudden you're a model. Who signed you? Where's your agent? Hit the DMs for business inquiries. Now all of a sudden they got a manager. Listen, man, we are so far removed. And I'm going to just be absolutely transparent with y'all. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to sit here and mince words. I'm not going to say the thing that makes you feel good. I'm not going to do any of that. I was having a conversation over the weekend about how it is that we're moving in society with regard to beef and problems. And this is all across the board, but it could never be any more pronounced than in our relationships. We are so far removed from what we're supposed to be doing and what is conducive in our lives that I'm not even sure that we can get back to the core root of who we are, of what we're supposed to be doing. We are so far removed in our finances. We are so far removed in our expectations. We are so far removed in our relationships. We are so far removed in our business acumen and our understanding, our debt, social media, fighting and infighting, homelessness, family court, laws and policy, who our legislators are, what we think is cool, who we hang out with, what our family members then are expecting from us, what we doing in real life, how you treat and talk to other people, what we think is positive versus negative, who we celebrate, who our heroes are. We are so far removed, so far gone, that I'm not sure if the majority of us can get back to square one. In any situation, you have to be able to retrace your steps and have that solid as a rock foundation to always lean upon. If everything goes bad, you always got that thing to come back to. In business, in the business world, right? One of the reasons that you get an education is because if everything goes bad, you can always come back to the core of what you need to do in order to make sure that you can feed yourself, take care of yourself, have a 401k, and then be able to provide for your family. That was the whole idea behind a job, and then being able to create a business. It wasn't just so you can get to the bag. It wasn't just so you could be successful. It was because you had a solid foundation. And that way, if you got so far removed or if everything went bad, you can always come back to it, reset, and then be able to start all over again with the learned lessons and the learned life lessons. When it comes to how it is that we raise our kids, it's a reason why the Bible itself says, you have to put down in a child early. They will never depart from that. No matter how far gone they get, no matter what they go through, no matter what failed experiences they have, they're always going to come back to that core thing that you taught them. It's something that they learned in church, the fact that you used to take them to church every day, that consistency, understanding what a man looks like. Most men don't even get their lives together until they're 30 years old or over, but they always come back to that core thing that they remember, and they never forget what it was that they was taught when they was younger. When it comes to relationships, you can't even unsee the first person that you've been with, because that is the thing that then defines how it is that you measure everybody else. Your earliest experiences is going to literally define and give you an outlook of how you see things going forward for the rest of your life. And so the question that you have to ask yourself, and I want everybody to do a self-check before we start to deep dive into this live stream, before we really start to cook today, I want everybody to go back to the drawing board and do a self-check and ask yourself, and you don't have to type it inside of the chat, but let's just be absolutely positively honest with ourselves. Nobody is going to be with you when this live stream is over except for you. You the person that's got to lay your head on the pillow at the end of the day. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself, how far removed are you from your core principles and values by which you were supposed to be standing on in every other aspect of your life, including when it comes to what you look at as right as wrong, who you are with regard to your relationships, how you're supposed to be operating when it comes to looking at everything from a business perspective, who you surround yourself with and who you think is cool, and what it is that you're doing on a daily basis to then numb the things that you're really supposed to be dealing with on a regular basis. It's a lot of people, listen, they only smoke because they trying to get away from the thing that they dealing with or the thing that's right in front of them or what they facing. It's a lot of people that can't wait to get home, or they don't like waking up in the morning to what it is that they got to face because they know that reality is going to be standing on the other side. It's a bunch of people that don't even like their own kids. It's a bunch of people that don't even like the person that they're laying next to. You don't really know how to deal with it, but you're numbing yourself through it in order to get through it every single day. And that is that's not healthy. That's not going to help you. That's not going to get you to the space that you keep worshiping these celebrities, but you don't understand that these people got issues and problems too. These people got more issues and problems on an exponential level because the money didn't make it better. It just actually showed what it was that they really were. The core of your relationship by which you got into this thing with this person that you said that you was going to be with forever, or that you told them that you loved them, you lied to them, you told them that you loved them. In reality, the foundation of that relationship was built on something, nothing more than what it is that you've seen right in front of you. It was sex, I like you, all man, lovey-dovey. But there was really there was nothing that was built on bedrock. It was all built on sand. So the first wave that come in, it just knock y'all off y'all square. It don't hold you down. It don't stand up when that hurt. It don't even stand up. You ain't got to even say nothing about a hurricane. It don't stand up in a storm. It don't stand up in the rain. It don't stand up when the wind start blowing. You just swaying back and forth and you about to get knocked over because the first sign of issues and problems, you out the door. You out the door. And there's somebody that's waiting for you to come back, and that's called a child or a kid. And it ain't no co-parenting. I don't believe in these new age words that y'all keep adding into the dictionary or phrasing in order to try to justify your behavior. There is no co-parenting. It's a father and it's a mother, and you need to get together with your kids and show them, not tell them, show them what a strong family household looks like. And we are so far removed because we don't even do self-checks anymore to figure out who we are and why we are in the situation that we in, that we keep redefining things and throwing new phrases on it and then saying that this is what it is because this is what social media has trending. And we think that it's cool just because everybody else is going through it. I'm never going to subject myself to it. The number one criticism that I get on a regular basis is, Anton, you so far removed. No, I remember exactly where it is that I come from, which is one of the reasons that I'm still standing on my square. And you look at me as weird. I'm looking at you as weird because you the one that's so far removed from who you are. I remember where I come from. I know exactly what it is that I'm doing. I am still in the city that I was born and raised in for a reason. I can move anywhere I want to in the world, and I am still here. You know why? Because the core principles of who I am still stand today, and the work that I'm doing is going to resonate way after I'm gone, because I am planting seeds in the spaces that I grew up in order to leave clues and trails behind for the people that come after me. You don't even know who you are anymore. You don't even know who you are anymore. All of the things that you've adopted of what it is that you think is cool, even with regard to relationships, was put into you by somebody that was not of you. You lost your way. You've lost your way. So we need to change. And we need to do a self-check. And we need to get back to the thing that we are or what we were. And that don't mean that you got to go back to that thing. It means that you need to remember who you are so that you can start plot the path and then be able to create the existence that you want, not based off of your circumstances, but based off of what your perspective is. Your perspective is off, and so you're going in the wrong direction. Stop worshiping these celebrities thinking that they cool. They not. They not that cool. You cooler than they are, and you don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to really get started with the show. Elliot says, life kicking my A, but I'm still motivated. Shout out to my dog, Elliot. P. Shank in the building says, good morning, Anton. I'm setting healthy, realistic goals. Shout out to you for the 2-ball. Black Silverchair says, I'm really getting tired of hearing all of the complaints about the economy from the younger generation. Y'all advocated and voted for this crap. Enjoy it. See, they're not going to have no choice but to deal with it. See, you can complain all you want to, but it's not going to change your reality. And that's what I keep telling people. Shout out to my dog, Lenny Deadstock says, got a care package coming your way. Great combo. Shout out to my dog, Lenny, running it up. Enforcer 2K9 says, from C19 to social media memes promoting self over everything. Feminism, LGBT, society has been conditioning us all to be separate and divided. That is true. Seminole 2014 says, the devil hard at work sowing discord, division, and confusion. Get God in your life and find someone you're equally yoked with and stay on your purpose. That is absolutely awesome. And my girl, Cassandra Powell, is in the building, says, I think the streets gave a fake facade of happiness. People choosing the dating pool over what they already committed to. Nothing can be dangled in front of me to make me leave my husband. Thank you for holding it down and holding that man down, because that is in your best interest. That's in the best interest of your children. Stay home, stay focused, build that thing, and then watch everything else crumble around you, because people are going to be complaining even about you, saying that your relationship shouldn't be standing. People be getting mad. People be feeling some type of way about people that are successful in their relationships and their money, all of that. AWOL says, this is what you get when there are too many options for women and kids. I agree. I absolutely agree. Thank you guys for the super chats. Let's get rocking with the show. Again, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's go ahead and dig into the things that really matter of what's going on out in these streets. So the first thing that I want to address is our cultural norms. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. Shout out to my dog, Elliot. The first thing that I want to address is our cultural norms. All right. And when I say our cultural norms, what people don't understand is that culture is ever changing. It's ever evolving. It continues to change based off of what it is that you celebrate the most, or the thing that you actually champion the most. It's the thing that you adopt the most. It's the thing that's the most meaningful to you. It's the thing that you engulf or become a part of on a regular basis, right? That is your cultural norms. So what I see happening over in Chicago, in New York City, and then also over in Oakland and in Philadelphia, what I see happening all over the country, and it becomes a theme. And it's so interesting because I remember at a time when everything used to be disconnected, meaning that what was going on over in the West Coast was a completely different culture than what was going on over on the East Coast, right? Even when it came to the music was different. When you went over to Cali, it was a different Cali sound. When you heard that Oakland, when you heard that LA, when you heard Compton, when you heard Dr. Dre, when you heard rap music, Sugar Free, Drew Down, Dr. Dre, Eminem, all of those type of people, it was a completely different sound than what it was that you got over in New York. When you was listening to the Wu-Tang Clan and DMX and, you know, Jay-Z and Biggie and all of those different people, it was a completely different vibe, right? And then the South, Outkast, 8-Ball and MJG, right? Suave House. You know, when you heard Scarface and all of those dudes, it was a completely different sound. Even in the Midwest, when you went up to the Midwest, when you went to Chicago, when you went to Detroit, when you heard what was going on down in Cleveland, right? When you heard all of these different things, or when you seen the culture, how they dress, how they talk, what they largely adapted and adopted based off of whatever it was that was happening within their region at that particular time. But now we've gotten to the point to where everything is the same based off of what it was that we adopted. and you adopted the worst that was over here, and they adopted the worst that was in your culture and in your county and in your region, and then they all combined it together. And what you're seeing happening, regardless of whether or not you're in LA or whether or not you're over in New York, you're seeing the same problems exist based off of whoever it is that adopt a specific cultural norm in that particular region. So if you decided that you wanted to vote liberal and you wanted to be blue and you wanted to advocate for the alphabet community and all of that other type of stuff, you have a specific cultural norm. Like it, love it, disagree with it, whatever it is, you have a completely different cultural norm than somebody that continues to look at things from a conservative perspective. And conservatives tend to see things another way. And in a lot of instances, it's extreme. And it's not always the greatest thing, but in a general sense, their cultural norms is completely different from yours. But regardless of whether or not you're over in Oakland or whether or not you're over there in Philly, the same things is happening. Let me prove it to you really quickly. Let me prove it to you. So if you look at what's going on over in Oakland, right, over in California, this is a famous restaurant.
Tonight in Oakland, where a popular downtown restaurant will be shutting down at the end of the month. Le Cheval at the corner of Clay and 10th Streets has been an Oakland institution for almost 4 decades.
The owner tells our Don Lynn it's not the pandemic, it is the crime that has killed his business.
Suntran's mother opened Le Cheval 38 years ago.
This is my mother, the founder, and older brother, older sister.
The family-run restaurant serves up Vietnamese cuisine with a touch of French influence.
They're very popular, the spicy wing, the cooked beef steak, and garlic noodle.
This is an institution to Oakland, and it's very well known.
This institution is shutting down on September 30th.
And I said, shut down, everyone crying. My family member, my employee. I feel really bad. It broke my heart. It broke my heart.
He laid off workers, cut back on restaurant hours, even closed down on Sundays to try to avoid permanent closure, but says he can no longer push forward. Business is at about 25% of pre-pandemic levels.
Even with a free rent right now, we still cannot survive. Even with free rent, we still cannot survive.
He blames auto burglaries and crime for the shutdown. Some customers were even robbed at gunpoint.
Even right on the front of the restaurant, and they car still broken into. And that they really mad. And they told me, Sean, I love your restaurant, I love your food, I love your family, but I cannot come back to Oakland.
Let's stop there for a second. Let's just stop there for 1 second, because this is the thing that people don't understand. When you see things happening within our society, there's a ripple effect. There's a ripple effect, right? When I built my first restaurant, now I'll just be a silent investor in different things and different restaurants and different businesses. Shout out to my dog Armand over in Eastern Market. They had a building collapse. They thought it was an explosion. They had a building collapse. I reached out to him and I was talking to him this weekend, and he's gonna be all right. He owned Jab's Gym. He actually appeared on my platform because we helped promote what was going on over there. Really good guy. I'm just a silent investor in a lot of great people and in a lot of good businesses now. But when I opened up my first restaurant, one of the things that I did to my own demise, very naive, is I decided to open it up near where I felt like there was a food desert in order to continue to serve the community and give them something that would actually be better for them, instead of all of the fast food joints and the restaurants that they were used to that they then had to subject their kids to, right? It also was an opportunity for me to continue to build up in the community as far as giving people jobs, right? I wanted to train young people, and I didn't just want to go in and be walking through the community and be like, hey, young man, get yourself together. I wanted to be able to tap in with people and then give them an opportunity, show them how they can do it themselves. You don't have to necessarily become a drug dealer. I don't want any plexiglass up here. I want it to be open air. I want you to come in and meet people, understand who's a part of your community, who's investing in your community. I want you to understand that it's somebody that looks like you. And guess what? Even to this day, you know the people that I get the most criticism from? People that got this skin color. People that lived in that community. The people that supported me the most was people that didn't even look like me, and they drove from far out because they loved what it was that we put together, and they loved the food. And they would drive from 10, 15 miles out just to come and pick up an order, or just to support, or just to come there after church. And those were the people that supported me the most. It was people that didn't look like me. And the ones that I got the most criticism from, the people that would steal my food, the ones that was coming in and stealing the phones, they would break in at night. Whenever I would get an order, I would see boxes and boxes of turkey legs and chicken wings going out the back door through a hidden camera that I installed. People that was sleeping on a job, people that was in there having their homeboys, giving away free food, all of this stuff. Those were people that look like me, right? And so when I talk about our cultural norms and the things that we go through, when I talk about the things that I experience, even when it comes to building up and putting my own money, not nobody else's money, no bank money, no loans, all of that. I put up $114,000 of my own money to build it from scratch, right? When we talk about our cultural norms, it's a downward impact of what happens throughout the community that then basically it resonates everywhere. When you have one person that goes unchecked in your community and they say, listen, I'm going to commit this crime and ain't nobody going to tell on me, no snitching. What happens is it then creates an environment and a culture where A, nothing is safe. B, people that actually want to support the community can't because they don't even feel safe going over there and doing it. C, that crime is perpetuated in more ways than one, especially on an influential level, because other people see it as cool. D, nobody has jobs. E, it lowers the property value. You don't get any tourism, and it's so many different residual effects that come along with it. But because we continue to adopt these policies and cultural norms, and it's largely reflected in the way that you voted. You voted in these legislators over there in Oakland that advocated for things that then release criminals based off of the things that y'all was hearing from rappers. You listen to Jay-Z talk about the no bail system. Y'all listen to these rappers talking about all of this. They told y'all to get out and vote without any kind of insight. Y'all decided that y'all wanted to roll over and support a specific party without reading through their policies. I seen y'all vote in Governor Newsom again, and again, even after it is you seen what happened during the pandemic. You see all of these trains getting robbed over in LA and in Oakland and California, and y'all just continue to support it and perpetuate it. Now it's a haves and have-nots. Because there used to be a middle class, there used to be a community, and that was the thing that was the middle class. Now families are getting pushed out and they saying, listen, I can't do it anymore. And I got to lay everybody off. Nobody going to have a job, which continues to take away from what it is that you see in the community because no money is being circulated in that community now, right? Now you in a space to where property values is going to go down, which also affects what goes into your schools, which also affects what it is that we can continue to put into as far as solving for police and crime in order to keep you safe. And now they knocking you over in the parking lot and can't nobody come in and eat no more. That's a fact.
$30 meal becomes like $500 something.
I'm afraid to drive my vehicle here, so I actually caught an Uber here. I won't drive it because it could cost you a couple grand with your windows gone.
Oakland police report auto burglary is up 46% this year compared to last. More than 10,000 cases so far.
Think about that. The police ain't gonna sit here and protest no more. Everybody is protesting through their actions. Everybody is protesting with their dollars. Everybody is protesting with whether or not they even want to come in and do the job that they're supposed to come in and pay. They say, nah, we just going to go and get a job somewhere else. Oakland police don't even care about putting the stats out no more. They showing you what defund the police really mean. They showing you what a lack of policy and support from the community really mean. Listen, burglaries is up 46%. Robberies is up 30%. 10,000 incidents. People don't even want to drive their car in order to go and do certain things. They catching an Uber because they know that they ain't gonna have no windows in the environment in the daytime in the public because people is riding around busting out the windows trying to see if you got something that's inside of that bag that ain't even nothing in. They gonna cause more damage than they would have got if they would have just stole something. It's bad out here.
Robbery also went up by 30%.
The lack of office worker, it not kill us. The crime, the criminal kill us.
City Council President Nikki Fortunato Bass says the police department will soon expand on the number of foot patrol officers.
Wait. I thought y'all wanted to defund the police. What happened to everybody with their signs out there?
P is also sending in help.
We know people are fearful. We know they're frustrated. They are hurting. We don't want to lose another business.
But Son says it's too late for Le Cheval.
Mad, really mad. Very, very disappointing. You know, and the politicians in Oakland here, they can do nothing. Just talk only.
Not just a big loss for the community, but tough on a personal level as well. I first came here in the summer of 1998. I was an intern at the Port of Oakland working in the Human Resources Department. My supervisor and the co-workers, they would bring me here almost on a weekly basis. I remember they used to say, Le Cheval's got the best kebabs and the best food. A lot of great old memories from this place.
Let me give you, so remember when I was having this conversation with you when we first started this live stream and I was telling you that culture used to be different based off of whatever region that you in. So that's over in Oakland, right? Let me take you over to Philly. This is what's happening over in Philly, ladies and gentlemen. You see the armed agent, the security guard with the gun, with the assault rifle in his hand? This man right here is that man right there. And he's walking around with a bulletproof vest on, all of his muscles, and an assault rifle. You know why? Let me share with you why.
Authentic sandwiches and armed security. One restaurant is creating a different type of dining experience to keep customers safe as concerns of crime and violence plague the city.
The original Jim's Steaks in West Philadelphia making a comeback, reopening under the name Jim's West. The additional security measures, part of the restaurant's new identity, all to match the new reality.
It's Friday night. I'm Shari Williams alongside Gray Hall. The big story on Action News tonight is heavy security guarding the food line outside of Jim's West.
There have been lines around the block since the location reopened. People saying they are excited about these cheesesteaks, but when it comes to the security with those rifles, the reaction mixed about this.
Yeah, Action News reporter Brianna Smith now joining us live with what people are saying about what they saw while waiting for their cheesesteaks.
Well, Shari and Gray, some customers say they appreciate the armed agents to keep them safe when they are out and just trying to eat. However, others argue it's alarming to see an AR-15.
I'm so excited. The food has always been good.
In my opinion, the best cheesesteak in town.
Residents are thrilled the original Jim's West Steaks in West Philadelphia is back in business.
Thank you.
But this time, customers can expect to see armed agents out front.
The violence has spiked. It goes up and down. You want people to feel safe and to be safe, you know, so when they come out and eat, they don't have to worry about no type of harm.
Our lines are down the block, so while you standing here in line, connecting with other people that you may not know, we got security right here just to keep you guys safe.
Welcome to your new reality. Listen, I know y'all not really understanding it. Y'all not really paying attention. Y'all not really hearing me. It's not really resonating in your mind yet, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is your new normal. You can't run from it. You can temporarily escape it. In most of these cities where you voted for certain ways and certain policies and certain adoptions, and you decided that you didn't want to tell on little man, and little Ray was over there busting out heads and knocking over people, and so this is your cultural norm now. This is your new normal. This is America. This is Oakland. This is Philadelphia. This is Chicago. This is all across the nation what your new norm looks like. In order for you to be safe, feel safe, you now have to look at a man, or better yet, a business hiring men with ARs in order to patrol for you to feel safe with ordering cheesesteak. Philly used to be known for cheesesteak. Now Philly is known for rats, crime, and Kensington Avenue, and making sure that we continue to support drug dealers that drop that fentanyl that's chopped up with horse tranquilizer in order to keep people slumped over. That's what Philly is largely. People don't think about, when people think about Philly, they think about Kensington Avenue. They don't think about Philly cheesesteaks anymore. They don't. That's just a fact. When I kick it and when I talk and when I say, man, I'm thinking about going over to Philly, they say, man, make sure you go over there and check out Kensington Avenue. It's wild out there. That's what they say. That's the honest to God truth. Man, when you go to Philly, make sure you drive down Kensington Avenue. Just make sure that you be careful, fam. They don't say, hey, yo, you got to go and check out them cheesesteaks. That go over there, go this. If you go to check out the cheesesteaks, now you got to be able to walk past the AR-15 just in order to be able to feel safe. It's wild. It is absolutely wild.
Owners hope their presence prevents crimes.
It's not just myself. It usually be other agents who's sworn and certified through the state of Pennsylvania to do security work when they're off duty from what they're doing. All of us are former military, police, law enforcement background.
Former military, police, law enforcement background. Basically, we need the National Guard in there in order for you to go and pick up a Philly cheesesteak.
Other business owners have hired armed agents too, including the Carco gas station in North Philadelphia.
As a business, if you want to secure your business and you want to make sure everybody's safe, you got to spend that extra money.
While some customers support the enhanced security,
Safety and good food is always a plus.
If it deters it, I can't complain, I guess. But, you know, I'm not exactly a big fan of guns, but I get it.
Others think it's not necessary outside of Jim's West.
Now, North Philly, where that gas station is, where the guys out there with the machine gun, I can understand that. But here, it's a little overkill. Even if you just had an armed guard, okay, but just walking around with a machine gun, it's not family friendly.
We don't care about if it's family friendly. We care about whether or not our customers is protected. If somebody gonna knock you over the head. See, the thing that we gonna have to get over now, because our new normal is different, the thing that we got to get over now within these communities is that it's not about how you feel, it's about what the reality is. The reality is that these young bulls don't care nothing about you. They don't care nothing about you, man. They doing it in the daytime, they doing it in the night. They doing it when your girl is with you, they doing it when she ain't with you. They doing it where the kids is around, they doing it when it's not around. They don't care anything about you. Listen, we don't care about your perspective, how you feel about it, what makes you feel a certain type of way. The only thing they care about, and applaud this business, applaud these business owners, applaud the people that got to deal with this nonsense, applaud the people that continue to spend extra money in order to keep people with them. Look, I'm going to be in Dallas this weekend. I've always felt comfortable being me and doing what I'm doing. But if you don't think that I'm walking around with security strapped up, yo, when you see me in Dallas this week, right? I'll be in Dallas tomorrow. I got to do the Meeting of the Minds show. Actually, I just dropped it inside of the description. If you guys want to get tickets to the Meeting of the Minds, if you're going to be in Dallas and you want to come and kick it with your boy, I just dropped it inside of the chat. You can go and pick up tickets and you can live stream the event if you're not in Dallas specifically. When you see me walking around, just know that I got an army with me. It's people that you don't know. It's people that you're going to see that's visible. When I walk around and I go into different cities, especially cities that I'm not familiar with, look, I got to get home. I got to get home. I got to make sure that my daughters see me. I got to make sure that my wife, they got, you know what I'm saying? There's people that depend on me. I got employees. I got people that payroll got to be going out. I'm going to have them boys with me. I got the police with me. I got the national security. I got the monsters with me. I got trained monsters. I got former SEALs with me. When you see me walking around in Detroit and you kick it with me, look over my shoulder and see what's walking with me and see what happened. I don't walk around unless I got security with me, and I'm out in the streets every day. I'm not out here without security. I'm in the streets every day. And you know why? It's not because I want to. It's because that is the new normal now. That is the new normal now. I'm not messing around with you. That's my new normal. That's just the reality. And this is your reality over in Philly and Oakland.
I'm here to protect you. I'm not here to, cause any trouble or be that guy with the rifle.
Yeah, that's the goal, to keep everyone safe.
Hold on. Who was that? Give me a second. Let me see what she's working with. Okay. All right. Who is this? Who's this reporter? Philadelphia News at ABC at 6. Somebody find out who this woman is. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the goal, to keep everyone safe. Now, customers can expect to see armed agents outside the building.
What's her social media?
Thursday through Sunday during business hours.
Brianna Smith. Let me see what Brianna Smith talking about over there. I'm sorry. I don't want to distract myself. Shout out to Philly. I'm looking to link up with Brianna Smith when I get to @Brianna Smith News. Now, I want to know what your real Instagram is. I don't want to know what the news Instagram is. I want to know what the real Instagram is. Let me get back. Let me get back to the show because I don't want to get derailed. We got a lot that we need to cover today. Let me read some of the super chat, and then we're going to get over into the next part of the show. Elliot Jackson is in the building, says, damn, just got re-engaged and started planning. Shout out to my dog, Elliot Jackson. We appreciate you. Shout out to Q is in the building. Tech Coach Ralph says good character and work ethic over everything. Shout out to Tech Coach Ralph. P Shank is in the building. P Shank says name Q show. Q don't even know this. It's gonna be called Hey Q. Yep. Q want to do this little partnership thing where it's including everybody or it's including me and all of that. Nah, Q show is called Hey Q. Hey, comma, Q, exclamation point. Hey, comma, Q, exclamation point. All right. Shout out to Pete Shank, said name Q show, Q Petty show. Also, when you think about giving Mr. Logic a show once a month regarding policies, politics, interesting. Yeah, Cassandra, I like that. Yeah, Cassandra, I like that. Hey, ladies, we need more ladies that want to jump on the show, so make sure that y'all DM Q in order to do that. Shout out to P. Shank. Stan Joseph says, sad part is he's near a police station. We are Gotham. Shout out to my dog, Stan Joseph. Mr. Pronunciace Man said, evil is the new norm for these thinkers. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody that continue to support the platform. We rock with you. We love you. Let's continue to run it up. We're going to go over to the next story and we're going to have this conversation. Shout out to y'all. Auto strike. Now, you know what's so funny about this? I have never seen the Breakfast Club really be integrated into the business aspect of news. I wake up this morning and I see the Breakfast Club posted a video that was very similar to my commentary. Not saying that they watch mine. I don't think that I'm that popular. I'm not even tripping about it. I see the Breakfast Club posting the video starting to address economic issues with regard to the UAW strike with the autos. Now, when did these people ever become versed in what was happening from a business perspective and then started reporting that on the Breakfast Club? I'm just curious as to what the heck is going on out in these streets. When did the Breakfast Club started expanding their content? Now, I could be off in that they have always been integrated in the business community and seeing what was going on at the Detroit Autos and all of this stuff, right? But when did the Breakfast Club started adopting all of these new segments? I thought that there was only about celebrity news and gossip and all of that stuff. Now they want to start having a conversation based off of what we've been talking about for a long time. I've been covering the UAW and the autos and breaking things down from a business perspective since the beginning. But let me give you all an update on what's going on. I got a lot that I want to cover. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We want to have a conversation about what's going on because I already predicted this. I said that this was going to happen. I said that the UAW was going to create a very, very painful situation. Now, one thing that I want y'all to take into consideration is not just what's happening with the UAW, right? Because shout out to my auto workers, shout out to the engineers, shout out to the truck drivers, shout out to the people that's on the floor, shout out to my Amazon workers, shout out to everybody that's doing it and getting it legally. And as long as you're not doing nothing illegally, I got love for you. I want to show you how to get to the money and why you need to expand upon what it is that you're doing and not just depend on a company in order to make sure that you're taken care of for the rest of your life, right? But here's the thing, right? I want you guys to look at all of this holistically and start to understand it from a business perspective, from an investment perspective. Who's the winners and the losers in this? Because it's not just whether or not we advocate for or we stand with or we're against or we're on the side of the companies or not, nothing like that. I want you to always look at everything from a business perspective. When you see in these stories and when Anton is reporting on this, is he just telling you what's going on, or is he also giving you information on how it is that you can make a more informed decision as far as your investments? Who's the number one winners in this thing? I'll tell you, Japanese automakers, Korean automakers, and Tesla. Tesla is the #1 winner when it comes to this UAW strike. I'm going to break it down for you. Let's get into it.
To the auto workers strike and its huge potential impact on our economy. The UAW says the walkout could expand this week as negotiations continue today with the country's 3 biggest automakers. Ford is now blaming 600 new layoffs on the strike, which is now in its 4th day at 3 factories in the Midwest. Chris Van Cleve is at the picket line outside the Ford plant in Wayne, Michigan. Chris, good morning. What is the latest?
Well, good morning. Picketers remain on the line here in Wayne. General Motors says it expects to have to idle a plant in Kansas due to the strike as soon as today. And in the coming hours, the UAW and
Ms. J says Biden didn't destroy the automakers. You guys really need to quit with the lies. The automaker higher up got greedy or not paying the workers, and that's not. See, I haven't even gotten to that point yet. You already developing your opinion based off of a limited amount of information, and nobody is saying that he destroyed the automakers. We're having a conversation about what his impact from a policy perspective is also having on the auto industry, including the Detroit Big Three. So pay attention, right? Listen, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I understand that you want to give your opinion and all of that, and that's cool. I want you to participate in the chat, but largely what this show is an opportunity for me to actually interact with you too. So you got to listen before you start to develop an opinion, because you might get new information that may inform your decisions. Listen, 2 ears, 1 mouth, reason. Let's continue. We'll get to that part. That's not where we at yet. We gonna get there.
Jeep parent Stellantis are set to resume negotiations after the union rejected the company's latest offer.
Black Lives Matter slogan. Come on, man. Y'all got to be able to listen. Shout out to my auto workers. Again, I originally worked at Local 600 down in Dearborn, Michigan. Y'all can't be having a Black Lives Matters one. Not the no justice, no peace. Hold on, let me rewind that a little bit.
Workers.
Come on, fam. Come on, fam. Listen. I love you guys. I'm for you. I hope that you guys get whatever it is that you want, but you cannot be sitting out there on the picket line with a bunch of people talking about no justice, no peace. Come on, fam. Come on, y'all. We got to do better. Interesting. I'm going to show you a video where the CEO of Ford is saying completely different, but we're going to get there. Don't worry. We're going to deep dive into this.
The union is currently seeking, while others make nearly double for the same.
We get it. I understand that. We broke that down. The thing that I'm trying to understand is, why did you guys apply for jobs there at $17 an hour if that's not what it is that you wanted to start off with in the first place? Ford and GM provide you a pathway to actually become a full-time employee, to where you eventually can get that $33 an hour from the beginning, or not from the beginning, but eventually through seniority. And I believe it takes the equivalent of about 90 days or more, so on and so forth. But who made y'all apply? And I get it. Union negotiating, bargaining, and all of this stuff, right? And I watched a lot of videos over the weekend in order to do some research on exactly where different people stand on different parts of this issue, especially with regard to different plants. Jeeps and Stellantis workers, or formerly known as Chrysler, got a different perspective of what it is that they're dealing with over at Ford and GM. But let me just ask y'all a question. Who made you go and apply for this job and then accept it, do the drug test, make sure that you fill out your HR information, give your driver's license, go over there and work that plant, get your paycheck, go home, pay your bills with it? Who made you do that? I'm genuinely asking, who made you do that? So when I tell you guys in a lot of instances that the things that happen, and see, when they strike or when stuff, they understand, right? The Sean Faines, the UAW leaders, the people that sat at the negotiating table, they understand the impact of this, right? I was talking to Eric Mays a couple weeks ago, and he was explaining to me a lot of this stuff with regard to the negotiating of different deals. And, he was at the table for a lot of these things, and he was high up in the union because he worked in Flint at GM, at General Motors, and he's made a lot of money before he transitioned over into politics, right? And see, the thing about it is that it's the restaurant owners, it's the suppliers, it's all of the... When we seen what happened during the pandemic wasn't a problem because y'all decided to work from home, because you only looked at it one way. The pandemic was a problem because they had to condition y'all to actually coming back into the office, because there were other businesses and entities that then depended on people participating in what was going on in society in order for them to continue to survive. The gas station owners, the restaurants, the ball games, All of these different industries are interdependent on each other based off of how it is that we design what capitalism look like in the United States of America that allow for us to have thriving cities and then create a good tax base that then foster growth within wherever it is that you live, that then creates a better environment for your children, right? So when the restaurant owner come and say, man, we gonna be suffering, I'm gonna have to be laying people off, it's a residual effect. It's similar to what was happening in 2008 and 2009 when one industry crashed, every industry crashed as a result of it because it's all interconnected. Let me share with you another video, right? Based off of what Sean Fain is saying. Now, I want to give you two different perspectives. I want to give you the perspective from the person that's actually on the UAW side, the leadership, and I want to give you the perspective on the side of what was going on with the CEO. We're going to continue to cover this. I want you guys to hit a like. I know they down, but it's okay. I know you got it in you to hit the like. Let's continue.
We turn now to United Auto Workers President Sean Fain. Good morning to you, sir. You have said that you had reasonably productive conversations with Ford yesterday. Does that mean they're going to put a more generous offer on the table?
Now, I'm going to switch back and forth really quickly, right? Because I want you to see. Now, that's the question. He's going to answer the question. We're going to come back to it. I want you to see a completely different perspective of what's being asked of the Ford CEO. Now, this is how far apart. Now, somebody is being disingenuous. I'm not sure who. I'm going to let you guys determine that. But somebody is being disingenuous.
Joining us now is Ford CEO Jim Farley with our own Phil LeBeau. Phil?
John, thank you very much. Jim, we're a little over 7 hours away from the strike deadline. Where do things stand? You've made your most recent offer. What have you heard back from the UAW?
Well, everyone imagines we're in some room squirreled away doing this final negotiation, and that's what we would love for the last 2 weeks, but nothing's going on. We've received no counteroffer from Sean Fain and the UAW.
Nothing at all.
Somebody is telling a lie. Sean Fain is saying one thing, the UAW is saying a completely different thing, but he's saying, listen, I don't know what the hell their strategy is because this is unprecedented. We send them offers. They got a completely different perspective. Let me continue to play what it is that he's saying.
No.
How frustrated are you with this situation?
Well, we've never seen it before. In 80 years, we've always been able to work through these differences because we're always on the side of labor at Ford. We have the highest UAW headcount. We have more people than anyone, build more vehicles. We've never seen anything like this. It's frustrating because many of our team members have negotiated successfully on non-economic issues with the national negotiators. But somehow when we get to these marquee money issues, everything stops. And it's a mystery. We've been putting contracts and negotiating with ourselves since the 29th for 2 weeks. And we still have not had any kind of counteroffer for all those major things. And we're on the eve of one of the largest strikes in our history.
Do you believe Sean Fain is truly negotiating in good faith, or do you think this is a case of he's not even giving you a counteroffer here? He's made a decision.
The date of the interview had happened over the weekend, right? The date of the interview would happen over the weekend. If you go and you check this actual video, Ford CEO Jim Farley, no way we would be sustainable as a company because he's going to break down the financials. That's not the most important part of this video. This video was dropped by MSNBC over the weekend. So it was literally right before the strike deadline, right? Now, Sean Fain is going to come through, and I'm going to play his video because that's why I wanted to play this one first based off of the timelines. This literally happened a few days ago on Friday. This video dropped on Friday. So let's continue.
We're going on strike.
Well, I think he's certainly planning. When I saw Facebook Live, he didn't even acknowledge our offer that Bill Ford, the chairman of the company, made 2 days ago until last night, and we still have not gotten an offer. I don't know what Sean Fain is doing, but he's not negotiating this contract with us as it expires. But I know he's busy planning a strike. We don't want it. I know he thinks this will be a historic strike with all three plants, all three companies, but we want to make history with a historic deal.
We have talked with people familiar with their plans in terms of what they might announce tonight. Livonia, your transmission plant, really the bread and butter in terms of putting the engines and the vehicles, everything together. That's going to be hit, according to what we understand. What would that do? What kind of chaos would that cause for your manufacturing?
It's enormous. For a engine transmission or stamping plant, all the downstream assembly plants would be affected within hours or days. And what most Americans don't realize is that although that would disrupt the manufacturing and the assembly of vehicles, many of those workers may not be eligible for the strike fund or for even unemployment. So at a personal level, our employees get hurt.
So how quickly would you have to potentially lay off people from a final assembly plant because you're not getting transmissions in, and therefore there's no production?
Well, within hours or days, depending on the plant and how much float we have, we'll have to shut plants, assembly plants.
Now, what a lot of people also are not familiar with, and this is why you have to be, see, shout out to the Breakfast Club for having these conversations with limited amount of information and not really having any experts from a financial perspective to be able to speak to these issues, right? What people are not really familiar with is that Ford recently took out a loan, multi-billion-dollar loan. Now, record profits as far as internal combustion engine cars, vehicles, trucks, so on and so forth, right? F-150, best-selling vehicle for tons of years, decades now, right? But Ford took out a loan, and people couldn't understand why they took out a loan recently, but I was paying attention, and I was intimately connected with what was going on because I had been paying attention to what was going on in the industry for as long as I can remember, right? And Ford has been recently taking on more debt. Now, the industry couldn't understand it because they wasn't increasing their dividend and they wasn't trying to figure out how it was that they could send out more bonuses and all of that type of stuff, right? And profits, the company's been profitable for an extended period of time, multi-billion-dollar company. And why were they taking out more debt? Well, from me, I started putting two and two together, and I already knew that the strike was coming because they understood who they were dealing with, meaning that they already knew that they had to have float money based off of how much money was going to be lost because they are at an impasse in which Ford and GM and Chrysler cannot afford to be able to give in to these crazy contracts because the biggest cost and expense in American automotive manufacturing is labor. It's labor. It's literally, listen, Tesla's cost per hour for an employee in order to manufacture their cars is roughly $45 an hour. $45 an hour. They are and they're continuing to fight off the union and not unionizing their plants. Japanese automakers are not far behind Tesla as far as the minimal amount of cost that it costs for them to be able to manufacture cars. Tesla is continuing to out-innovate because they're literally building plants with less people to figure out how they can become less dependent on auto workers in order to continue to scale, right? They have no strike over there, meaning that inventory and electrification is still coming, but they already have the infrastructure as far as the Teslas, as far as you being able to charge your cars, because they have literally tens of thousands of power chargers all across the world, right? Meanwhile, if the UAW was to give in, or if the American automakers was to give in to these contracts, just based off of what was being demanded, 32-hour work week, increasing 36%, 40%, 46% pay, their cost per hour per employee is going to be somewhere between, and don't quote me on this, somewhere between $126 and $166 per hour per employee. When you're talking about almost triple the cost per employee plus the legacy cost and being behind an investment because Tesla is profitable when it comes to EVs versus the amount of money that's being lost, and they have to use the internal combustion engine profits in order to reinvest in a coming technology that you cannot deny. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
Hours or days.
Quickly put in some perspective, the offer that they have, what they're demanding relative to where you are right now, how much damage would that do to the bottom line if you were to say, sure, we'll give you 40%?
If we signed up for the UAW's request, instead of making money and distributing $75,000 in profit sharing in the last 10 years, we would have lost $15 billion and gone bankrupt by now. The average pay would be nearly $300,000 fully fringed for a 4-day work week.
The average pay would be $300,000. Basically, the true cost of employing somebody, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. The total employee compensation is not based off of how much money you make per hour. It's all inclusive. It's 32-hour work week versus how much you make per hour, including healthcare, retirement, right? All of those things come out to a number, right? The total employment compensation based off of an employee for a year is then determined by an all-encompassing number that basically includes everything that goes into employing this person. Payroll taxes, right? Unemployment taxes. All of those things count. And so when you don't really understand it holistically based off of what they're looking at it from a business perspective, because you got to understand, Ford employs more United States, more people in the United States than any of the automakers. More than GM, more than Toyota, more than Chrysler, more than Tesla, all the way across the board. Ford employs more people in the United States of America than any other automaker. And so obviously their costs are going to be higher in order to continue to do business in America, which is one of the reasons why they started doing business outside of America, because they could not afford to compete on a global scale with people that had a lower cost and getting into a price war, which is another reason why they stopped manufacturing smaller cars. That's why you're not going to get the Focus no more. That's why you're not getting Fusions. That's not why you're not going to be getting Malibus. That's why they phasing out all of this stuff and they only making SUVs and small SUVs and all of that. And they rebranding different brands in order to continue to sell you bigger cars at a bigger markup in order to try to pass that cost over into the consumer, because they cannot afford to continue to compete on a global scale with employees whose total compensation far outweighs what the competition is. Now, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't go out and strike. You do whatever it is that you want to do. But what I'm telling you is that when you're looking at it holistically from a business perspective and you put yourself in those shoes, ask yourself this question. Would you be so willing to give in to the UAW demands if you were on the other side of the table? That's all I'm telling you. Let me go over to Shawn Fain because I want him to get his perspective, and I want to break that down too.
We turn now to United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain. Good morning to you, sir. You have said that you had reasonably productive conversations with Ford yesterday. Does that mean they're going to put a more generous offer on the table?
Good morning. Thanks for having us. And, you know, that's up to them. The reason we're in this situation right now is because all three of the big three companies chose to wait. They chose not to negotiate for the 8 weeks we had. We started this back in July, and we told them then, don't wait till the last minute or you're going to find yourself in a bad position. And unfortunately, they chose to wait till the last week to get down and start talking, to get serious about this, and that's where we are now. And
Yo, Shawn Fain, from my perspective, let me hold my opinion. Let me hold my opinion. I just want to hear the rest of this because I haven't heard all of this. I'm going to hold my opinion about what I think about Shawn Fain until I hear the rest of this.
If we don't get better offers and we don't get down and take care of the members' needs, then we're going to amp this thing up even more.
You said progress is slow. Will you order strikes at additional plants this week? Are you preparing for that?
We're prepared to do whatever we have to do. So the membership is ready. The membership is fed up. We're fed up with falling behind. It's been decades of falling behind, and especially this past decade, in the most wealthiest times in the history of these companies. There is no excuse. These companies have made $250 billion in the last 10 years, $21 billion in the last 6 months alone, and our workers' wages and conditions have went backwards.
You're asking for a 36% pay raise, as our reporter just laid out there. Stellantis said they've offered 21%. What are you expecting out of tomorrow's negotiation with them? That seems forward movement.
We've asked for 40% pay increases. And the reason we asked for 40% pay increases is because in the last 4 years alone, the CEO pay went up 40%. They're already millionaires. Right. You know, it's shameful that one of the
you cannot tie how much you're going to make with what the CEO's pay package is based off of the performance of the company. What in the world is wrong? I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong. Let me finish hearing what he has to say before I even react to this. Because we got to move over to Biden and his role, and we got to have that conversation too.
Leaders of one of the corporations sitting in his second home in Acapulco while we're bargaining, rather than being at the bargaining table. And so, you know, our demands are just, we're asking for our fair share in this economy and the fruits of our labor.
So 21% is a no-go for you?
It's definitely a no-go, and we've made that very clear to the companies.
Ford's CEO said last November that electric vehicles are going to require 40% less labor to produce than combustion vehicles. I know it may not be the intention, but I wonder how you think this transition.
I wish my people would. I wish the people that work for me would start counting my pockets and start saying that I'm going to get paid, or I'm demanding that you get paid based off of whatever it is that you making. I'm going to make my request commensurate with what it is that you're doing. No. I pay you well. I take care of whatever it is that you need to be taken care of. If you don't like what's going on here, then go and find another job. No way is somebody going to be sitting here counting my pockets and trying to negotiate with me what it is that they're going to be making based off of what it is. Where they do that at? In what company, in what world do they do that at? When I went over into this position that I have right now in corporate America, right? They said, Anton, we want you to come in here. And I said, okay, well, you know, this is what I can do. This is what's happening, so on and so forth. I'm not sitting there measuring myself based off of what the CEO making. Now, if somebody else wants to come behind me and try to measure out what it is that they don't negotiate based off of what I am, but we're not even in the same position, how does that make sense? That's like the bank teller telling me that they should be making what it is that I'm making based off of what it is that I'm contributing into the company. That's crazy. That's crazy. But we'll see. Let's continue.
2 electric vehicles may be eating away at your union strength.
Well, I don't believe it's eating away at our union strength. It is the way it is right now. Unfortunately, this is what's wrong with our economy, and this is what's wrong with America right now. The billionaire class keeps taking more and more, and the working class.
See, and this is the problem. He's not having this conversation based off of what's being contributed into the company, based off of the workers. Now, if you made the argument based off of your contribution to the company, and that your contribution was so great that this is what you deserve, that's one thing. If you're trying to negotiate based off of what it is that you think that I'm doing, now we got an issue, because that's not a negotiation in good faith. That's you trying to bankrupt the company.
Class keeps getting left behind. And the unfortunate part in this transition right now, like always, go back to the Great Recession. The banks got bailed out by our taxpayer dollars, and they just kept on doing what they do, while working class people's homes got foreclosed on.
Automakers got bailed out too.
Go back to the, you know, yes, automakers
and
got bailed
taxpayers
out, and
lost
again,
money on that.
The workers were unfairly blamed for everything that was wrong with those companies. It was bad decisions on the parts of the companies that put us in that position.
So you take none of the responsibility and you take all of the credit, and then you use a disingenuous argument with regard to the banks to try to compare it to what's going on with the automakers, and you think that this is going to be a negotiation in good faith. I think that the CEOs and the negotiation teams, I'm just going to say it. I know ain't nobody else going to say it. I know ain't nobody else got the balls to say it, because we live in a PC society and very few people is actually willing to stand on what it is that they say. But I don't have no strings on me. I don't have no corporate ties on me. I don't worry about what it is that other people are saying. I'm going to just say it. I believe that the negotiations between the UAW leadership and the leadership over at the automakers, I believe that the automakers is negotiating with somebody that you can almost call a financial terrorist. I think that the automakers are negotiating with a financial terrorist. Flat out. Flat out. If I'm a UAW member, right? I understand y'all all got to move in solidarity, because one without the other, it breaks the link as far as what it is that you're trying to get and negotiate. But this is what I believe. If I'm a UAW member, I'm getting another skill set, and I'm going to try to find another job that levels me up immediately. I am not going to sit there and wait for y'all to completely destroy the company all the way to the point to where I no longer have a position in a job. If I'm a UAW member, I see the writing on the wall within the next 10 years. No way you're going to see me investing in Ford, Chrysler, Stellantis, or GM based off of what I see. If Shawn Fain is at the forefront, from an investor's perspective, I'm not even going to talk about it from a worker's perspective, from an investor's perspective, If Sean Fain is at the forefront of what's going on at the UAW, I am removing my money that I have in Ford immediately. Well, let me just be absolutely transparent. I completely divested myself from what was going on back in July. I completely divested myself from every American automaker except for Tesla. I increased my position in Tesla, and just being transparent. I got to be absolutely transparent. I divested myself because I seen this happening, which is one of the reasons I've been warning y'all for months now. I seen this happening a long time ago. I seen the play a long time ago. I divested myself from an investment perspective from Ford Motor Company, and I reaffirmed my position in Tesla, because if Sean Fain is at the forefront of what's going on, ain't no way in the world that investors going to be able to compete on a global scale as they are in every other automotive company. No way. No way.
And the sad reality is, you know, the workers paid the price for that. We made all the sacrifices, and after a decade of massive profits, the workers have went backwards. Our wages have went backwards. Our benefits have went backwards. The majority of our members have zero retirement security now. And meanwhile, it's insulting.
No, they didn't have zero retirement security. They negotiated with the UAW because they understood that the majority of the things that were killing automakers at the time had nothing to do with the decisions of the company. Listen, it was based off of the negotiations of the UAW. And a lot of people don't really understand this, but I'm going to break it down to you from a C student's perspective. The legacy costs prevented them from being able to compete with Japanese automakers, which is one of the things that the companies have been complaining about for an extended period of time. Back in the day, what they did was they promised you 30 years in a pension and healthcare coverage and all of those things. So what happened was it depended on the company to continue to make exorbitant profits even during downtimes, to then allow for the company to then pay for all of the old timers that was living much longer and life expectancy was growing. And so as a result, all of the legacy costs that came along with American automakers was also crippling them, because they became more dependent on trucks and things that were more profitable. Meanwhile, Japanese automakers was continuing to invest in and having a Toyota way when it came to the Camry, when it came to the Corolla, when it came to the Honda Accord, and the things that people were looking for when a recession hit, especially when gas prices shot up, was a completely different or the complete opposite of what American automakers was producing. And so they had to produce those cars in order to stay competitive from a financial perspective, as far as making sure that they can compete with the legacy costs that came along with having a unionized workforce in the first place. That is the truth. That is the truth. When they sit here and they tell you this stuff, they're telling you a white lie. They're telling you the partial truth, and they're leaving out the stuff, the context that'll help you make a better decision as an investor, as an employer, as a person that works for these companies. And so the legacy costs then got passed over to the UAW, because the UAW negotiated for them to have their own fund to then fund all of the things and the legacy costs that came along with the traditional automakers, especially since GM and Chrysler had declared for bankruptcy and they had to divest themselves against those legacy costs that came along with it, which is why GM then had another stock issuing. And that's the truth. That's the truth. And so now UAW members are saying that we want the same thing that we had before, which is pensions, which is legacy costs, which is the things that is going to drive you into bankruptcy. And so why would they do the same thing that they did that put them at a competitive disadvantage against other automakers? And the auto industry is becoming even more competitive than ever. Now you have potentially you got Rivian, you got Tesla, Apple is possibly developing a car, right? You got all of these different people that's competing, and it's not just Japanese automakers. Chinese automakers are now starting to come over into different countries, and they're going to be over here in the U.S. very, very soon. What makes you think that you're going to be able to compete against these people?
The CEO gets on air in the last few days and says that her $29 million salary is justified by her performance. No, it's not. It's justified by the performance of the worker on the backs of the workers and by paying them poverty wages. And that's unacceptable in this country.
Well, I know. You've also said, though, it's a shell game to talk about, CEOs handing back part of their money. You're talking about something that's more fundamental to the structure of this entire sector of the economy. And that's why I'm asking you about the transition, because many of the factories in this country that make batteries for those electric vehicles are not unionized. And that is where the White House is pushing the industry to go, more towards those electric vehicles. Isn't that part of this challenge for you, leverage-wise?
I'm glad that she's challenging them on a lot of these points.
So the challenge is, where we're going to go as a country. Again, I get back to this point. Our tax dollars are financing a massive portion of this transition to EV. We believe in a green economy. We have to have clean water. We have to have clean air. Anyone that doesn't believe global warming is happening isn't paying attention. But this transition has to be a just transition. And a just transition means if our tax dollars are going to finance this transition, then labor can't be left behind. And as it stands right now, the workers are being left behind. The companies want to talk about being competitive. Yeah. It's not about being competitive. Competitive is a code word for race to the bottom. What they want is they want to pay us poverty wages so they can keep on making billions more in profits, and they can keep enriching the shareholders and the CEOs and the corporate executives while the workers pay the price for it and get left behind. That's got to stop.
You know what they should do? They should say that, okay, all of y'all bonuses is going to come in equity and it's not going to come in a paycheck. That's what a lot of other companies do. That's what Tesla employees get, even the ones that's on the factory floor. Their bonuses, and this is one of the ways in which Tesla stays competitive. Shout out to Elon Musk and coming in with a business perspective that's killing the game. Tesla largely compensates employees, especially considering that Tesla's stock price continues to go up, which is truly the idea of everybody sharing in the success or failure of the company, right? Their compensation is largely tied to the success of the company because they don't just get bonus checks. They get equity in the company that they then have to, and they're incentivized to do the thing that's in the best interest of the company. And so they become much more successful and richer as a result of it. That's the true idea of sharing in the pain. When you talk about shareholders, when it comes to Tesla, their employees are shareholders, because they're sharing in the successes of the company. Now, they're not negotiating for that. They're negotiating for 32-hour work weeks, and it's a completely different conversation.
In this country.
Ford has said that your demands would more than double the labor costs, which are already significantly higher than the labor costs at Tesla, at Toyota, and other foreign-owned
this lady is digging.
automakers who don't use union labor. So how do you make the case that these automakers need to keep investing in more expensive union shops rather than move to these right-to-work states?
First off, labor costs are about 5% of the cost of the vehicle. They could double our wages and not raise the price of the vehicles.
That's not true, because the margin on the vehicles, the margin for most vehicles is less than 10%. The margin of profit on most vehicles, it's not just from an investing in doubling the labor, right? The margin of profit on most vehicles is less than 10%, meaning that the true cost of the vehicle is tied to labor. It is tied to parts. It is tied to manufacturing. It is tied to research and development. It is tied to a lot of different things. And labor is not just all encompassing when it comes to union members. It's all encompassing when it comes to everything related to developing a vehicle, from concept all the way over into production. Labor accounts for more than 5%. That is another white lie. That is another white lie. And the true margin of profitability for the Detroit automakers, especially Ford, Chrysler, and GM, is less than 10%. That is a fact. Go and look it up. Go and look it up.
And still make billions in profits. It's a choice. And the fact that they want to compare it to how pitiful Tesla pays their workers and other companies pay their workers, that's what this whole argument's about. Workers in this country got to decide if they want a better life for themselves instead of scraping to get by paycheck to paycheck while everybody else walks away with the loot. Yeah. And, when we bargain good contracts, going back to the founding of this union, people join the UAW because we set the standard. People join unions because it's a better way of life. And that's what we got to do. We have to bargain a good contract, and then we're going to go organize these places and bring these workers in so they get their fair share of the economy that they get nothing of right now. Most of these workers in those companies are scraping to get by so that greedy CEOs and greedy people like Elon Musk can build more rocket ships and shoot themselves in outer space. And that's unacceptable.
But he continues to be one of the most innovative people when it comes to solving for the problems that we have coming on in the United States of America. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to continue over. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so much of a capitalist that I see things a little bit differently. B. Scott is in the building, says, absent but busy, sliding through to show love. Link with you soon, bro. Shout out to my dog, B. Scott, for the fireball. Thomas Carmine says, hey, Anton, how does somebody go about working for two different companies within the same industry? I'm a data analyst and would appreciate any advice on how to increase the bag. Appreciate you all, bro. Send me that message inside of the Patreon. That's not something that I should be talking about publicly. Trying to get me in trouble out here in these streets. Thank you for the 10 ball. Greg Charlie says, glad to see our conversation was good enough for an entire clip, even with people in the comments talking crazy. I need that coaching call. Just sent the email. Shout out to my dog, Greg Charlie. I appreciate you. Yusuki Roshrama says, Anton, why is the UAW out here trying to eat? Jesus Christ, trying to eat butt. P. Shank says, I don't think the UAW has leverage as they did back in the 70s because the people who are committed to buying U.S. cars aren't driving nursing home. Yeah, we don't care about that anymore. We'll go and get a foreign in a minute without even thinking about it. How many cars do I have that's Benz? The only 2 cars that I got that are American made is the 1996 Chevy Impala and a Tesla. That's crazy. Anton is a blue-collar millionaire. I love it. No, I'm not. I ain't got no money. Don't worry about me. Think about that for a minute. I just really put that in perspective. I got a Hyundai. I have a Porsche, I have a Mercedes, and I got a Tesla and a 1996 Chevy Impala. I just went to the auto show over this weekend, and I was looking at all of the different options, and I was going over my daughter what she wanted her first car to be. Most of the cars that she had on her list had nothing to do with the Detroit 3. Let's continue. Let's continue on. I want to get into this part of the conversation because is Biden crippling the auto industry is the question that's at the forefront of this conversation. Is Biden crippling the auto industry? There are people within the industry that's saying that it's Biden's fault. Biden's fault as to why a lot of this is happening in the auto industry also. I have my own particular opinion about it, but I promised y'all I would get to this. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Let's get into the conversation. This is Biden giving his opinion very, very late, might I add. This is Biden giving his opinion on what's going on in the auto industry and what automakers should be doing for their employees.
Go to the White House now. We're going to hear from the president regarding the auto strike.
I'd like to say a few words about the contract negotiations between the United Auto Workers and the Big Three.
I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show.
Auto companies, I've been in touch with both parties since this began over the last few weeks and over the past decade. Auto companies have seen record profits, including the last few years, because of the extraordinary skill and sacrifices of the UAW workers. But those record profits have not been shared fairly, in my view, with those workers. Just as the Treasury Department has released a report pointing out that the most comprehensive report ever dealing with how unions are good for both union workers and...
They need to get him some glasses. He keeps squinting at the screen of what it is that he's reading. He doing like this the whole time. And the union workers and what they doing and what they got going on and all of that. They need to get him some glasses. Shout out to Biden. He got them good contacts, I'm assuming.
Non-union workers and the overall economy. Unions raise workers' wages, they said, incomes, increase home ownership, increase retirement savings, increase access to critical benefits like sick leave and child care, and reduce inequality, all of which strengthen our economy for all workers. That's because unions raise standards across the workplaces and entire industries, pushing up wages and strengthening benefits for everyone. That's why strong unions are critical to a growing economy and growing from the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down. That's especially true as we transition to a clean energy future, which we're in the process of doing. I believe that transition should be fair and a win-win, for auto workers and auto companies. But I also believe the contract agreement must lead to a vibrant Made in America future that promotes good, strong middle-class jobs that workers can raise a family on. Where the UAW remains at the heart of our auto economy and where the Big Three companies continue to lead in innovation, excellence, quality, and leadership. Last night...
What? What is he talking about? They playing catch up to everybody, including Tesla. On average, they lose for every single EV that they sell in order to drive costs out. They're leveraging the profits that they make from internal combustion engine vehicles in order to continue to supplant what it is that they're trying to develop and then bring here in the United States of America. What is he talking? They continue to lead in innovation. No, they're not.
After negotiations broke down, the UAW announced a targeted strike at a few big three auto plants. Let's be clear. No one wants a strike. Say it again. No one wants a strike. But I respect workers' right to use their options under the collective bargaining system. And I understand the workers' frustration. Over generations, auto workers sacrificed so much to keep the industry alive and strong, especially through the economic crisis and the pandemic.
Open your eyes, Biden. Open your eyes, big dog. You can't even read the prompter that well. Come on, man. Hey, get that extra big font up on there. I'm following, though. I'm following. I'm going to break it down from a C student's perspective.
Workers deserve a fair share of the benefits they help create for an enterprise. I do appreciate that the parties have been working round the clock. And when I first called them at the very first day of the negotiations, I said, please stay at the table as long as you can to try to.
I called them when they first started negotiating, and I was telling them, hey, stay at the table as long as you can because we got to get this deal done, guys. Since July, they've been negotiating at the table, and I was telling them, hey, you guys need to stay at the table. Hey, everybody, stay at the table because we got to get this deal done for all Americans. Let me finish hearing what he got to say.
We'll work this out. And they've been around the clock, and the companies have made some significant offers. But I believe they should go further to ensure record corporate profits mean record contracts for the UAW. Let me say that again. Record corporate profits, which they have, should be shared by record contracts for the UAW. And just as we're building an economy of the future, we need labor agreements for the future. It's my hope that the parties can return to the negotiation table to forge a win-win agreement. To continue our active engagement, I'm dispatching 2 members of my team to Detroit, Acting Labor Secretary Julie Hsu and White House Senior Advisor Gene Sperling, both of them have been involved up to now, to offer their full support for the parties in reaching a contract. The bottom line is...
Then Kamala Harris, let's see if we can get a deal done with her.
That auto workers help create America's middle class. They deserve a contract that sustains them in the middle class. Thank you very much. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Now, I'm under the impression, because I want to get a completely different perspective from a former CEO over at the a former CEO over at the Automakers, because I want to get his perspective because he had a unique breakdown. But let me give you my thoughts, right? All of this is just a farce. All of this is just presentation layer. It's smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. Let me tell you why it's smoke and mirrors. Biden is trying to secure an endorsement from UAW members in order for him to have the support of these blue-collar workers for the upcoming presidential election. So he had to say something. Biden is trying to secure support because the UAW is leveraging their membership and their power in numbers in order to hold out an endorsement for President of the United States, which is one of the reasons why he had to come out here and say this in the first place. And that's a fact, though. You look it up. The UAW has largely expressed their displeasure and their withholding of an endorsement of Biden for president of the United States because they have not gotten the support that they feel like they need in order for them to continue to secure a historic contract against the automakers. And so he had to come out and say this. He had to come out and say this. What do you think? Listen. Pandering for votes is not what we're advocating for from our elected officials. We want them to make an informed decision based off of their own insight, not so that they can try to get a vote from Democrats. Not so they can try to get a vote from the UAW. Not so they can get an endorsement so the UAW can say, hey, everybody go and vote for Biden. We want you to give your own thoughts, not the thing that they're saying, the same playbook, the same agenda that's being spread across the United States of America. We tired of that. We want to know what your real thoughts are, and then we want to know what role you're playing when it comes to how the automakers are then being affected by your policies that's going on in the White House. Well, let's deep dive into it. We got more information.
UAW President Shawn Fain rejecting a 21% pay increase offer from Stellantis over the weekend, saying that it's a, quote, no-go. Joining me right now is the former Chrysler CEO and Home Depot chairman and CEO, as well as Accelerate LLC founder and CEO, Bob Nardelli. Bob, it's great to see you. Thanks very much for weighing in on this important issue. You've dealt with unions your entire career. How do you view?
We want to get an industry insider in here to give his perspective of what's going on between the UAW and the automakers, not just based off of what Biden is telling us, but based off of how it is that he can communicate more effectively how Biden has affected what's going on in the negotiating table. Let's go into this.
Yes.
Well, Maria, thank you for having me on. I was encouraged that Stellantis did put an offer on the table over the weekend, and of course, I was disappointed to see a flat-out rejection. Maria, I think this thing, given the tone of it right now, that both sides have become very polarized, I think this is going to go on for a while. I think the union, UAW, is dug in. I think the companies are now dug in. And I think we're woefully underestimating the financial impact on this strike. I've lived through this, to your point. Customers are now going to become very jaundiced. Do they order a car? If they do, how long will it take to get? What will the quality be? If you already own a car, what's the serviceability from the dealership? Remember, this is far bigger than just 3 plants on strike. Every city, every state has dealers that will be affected by this.
They're saying that the potential cost to the economy as UAWs strike in just 10 days could be $5.6 billion impact to the economy all across different sectors, different states, different industries, different households. The impact in just 10 days could be that of about $5.6 billion. That's a big number, y'all.
They'll start, depleting their inventory. They'll start laying their salesmen off. They will eventually lay off their technicians. So this thing has broad and deep tentacles that will affect our economy. You've talked about energy and fuel, $90 a barrel. I just filled up my tank on Saturday. Now, the good news is this administration's doing nothing, but our state governor is. He reduced the sales tax on fuel until we can get something in place to get energy costs down. So I think this will have far implications for a long time, Maria.
Wow, I think that's really interesting that you've got state governors trying to address this issue as oil prices surge with what you're seeing in Georgia. But, Bob, I want to get your take on who wins and loses here, because I keep making the point, who's not striking? The employees at Toyota.
Let me just say something. She look a mess. You know me. I can't ignore what it is that I see, because I think that communication is 90% body language and presentation. It's not just what you say. This lady, whoever she is, and I know y'all know who she is, she's probably a regular person on Fox News or whatever, so on and so forth. This lady she looked like she just came from the bar. She just got done drinking, that they had some hot, good, if you know what I'm saying, at the same time. And then she jumped on the air right after that, after she took a pill in order to try to clear up her eyes. She look a mess out here in these streets.
Toyota, the employees at Tesla. Is this a quiet victory for Elon Musk and Tesla?
There's no question, Maria, that when we went through this in 7, 8, and 9, there weren't nearly the optionality out there today. But you can see Honda, Hyundai, Tesla. I mean, there's a plethora of alternatives for a consumer to purchase a car. Now, here's another important point. If one of the big three loses a sale, they're probably going to lose it for 12.2 years. That's the average age of the installed base of the car park today. So it's not like, well, when the strike ends, we're immediately going to be able to pick up where we left off. That is not true. We had the same issue again back in 7, 8, 9. An interesting article was in the AJC over the weekend with Carol Tomei. She acknowledged that they lost tremendous customer support just during the negotiations because people wanted to make sure their goods would still flow. Their competition then locked these people in for multiple years. So just the fact of going through a big three, and of course your point earlier, we're forcing a conversion to electric vehicles far beyond its time. There is no installed base to support the demands that are being put out by this administration for electric vehicles. We saw the Inflation Reduction Act then finally come true, has nothing to do with that. It's all about the green movement. So we're under tremendous pressure in this economy right now with inflation out of control, and nothing's being done by the administration. except the Feds, who are raising interest rates that are just pounding the mid-market companies. Interest rates in some of my middle market companies have gone from 2 million to 14 million. Basically 100% of free cash flow, Maria, is going to pay the interest rates. And it's causing tremendous dislocation in our economy.
So basically what he's saying is that Biden, through his pushing of this green movement, is also affecting the transition over into electric vehicles, because now it's affecting the bottom line of the automakers and forcing them to invest in things where consumers may or may not even be able to be interested in these automakers or in these electrified vehicles in a sense, right? So he's basically saying that Biden is crippling the auto industry by forcing them over into the green movement where consumers are not necessarily interested in taking it and taking this pathway. And I think that he's wrong. I think that he's wrong. I'm going to be objective because that's who I am, and I'm going to shoot Biden some bail. I believe that he's wrong. I believe that if you're going to compete, especially worldwide, it is happening in China. It is happening in Switzerland. It has happened in so many different countries and places across the board where they've basically adopted and they've evolved past their current circumstance, and they've used profits from their current industries in order to continue to propel themselves forward in new industries. You have to invest in the future. You have to invest in infrastructure. You have to invest in the electrification of cars, because that's where the industry is going. The problem with electrification is not necessarily the cars themselves, right? The problem is that people have worries with regard to the infrastructure behind electrification. They don't think that they'll be able to find a charger. They don't like what will happen, right? Of course, you're going to have people to say, well, I like the sound of gas cars and so on and so forth. But you can't have two things at the same time. You can't have an industry that says that we don't want to be dependent on foreign oil in order to continue to build up, especially with regard to what it is that we're dealing with foreign relations. But then at the same time, we don't want to invest in infrastructure to continue to build up the industry that's now going to have the majority of the jobs in the United States of America, because then what will happen is we will have to outsource jobs to other countries, especially with regard to the things that we don't build here in America, in order to continue to do the supply and demand for what people are going to be purchasing in the future. It's just a fact. The industry is moving over to electrification until they move over to something else. Internal combustion engines are a large cost that they've largely tried to drive out the majority of the costs, and it's reached a ceiling. In order to drive out costs as far as what the long-term effects of electrification is, right? The cost of the battery, less parts, manufacturing processes, so on and so forth, bringing jobs over, research and development. You have to bring that stuff in the United States of America because it is a global game. The world is not waiting for us to do anything going forward. It is now in a space to where it's innovating, it's adopting policy, it's adopting electrification, it's adopting AI, it's adopting technology, semiconductor chip shortage. This is why the United States of America is fighting so hard as far as to make sure that semiconductor chips stay far and ahead of what it is that they have going on worldwide. And the next war is possibly over in Taiwan, because China is trying to secure semiconductor chips that is advanced enough for them to continue to compete over here in America. That's a fact. And so he's actually wrong on this, in my opinion. He's wrong on this because you have to. Again, one of the problems that's happening in America is the infrastructure. The infrastructure is not keeping up with the technology. When you talk about self-driving cars, when you talk about semiconductor chips, when you're talking about electrification, we don't have the infrastructure to actually support the people that then would consider buying these cars if they could. You cannot have the Model Y last quarter being the #1 selling car in the world and then make the case to say that people are not necessarily adopting technology that would then push them forward. That's a lie. It's a lot. It drives out the cost. It continues to innovate for the automakers, and that's why they look at themselves as technology companies, not as just manufacturers. So I think that he's partially right, but it's not entirely right based off of the conversations that he's having right now. You cannot lay this at the feet of Biden. He is creating legislation that actually pushes them forward and incentivizes these companies to continue to invest in the United States of America. He's wrong on that. I do not think that it's Biden's fault that he's crippling the auto industry. I think that he's creating policy that then substantiates that we need to go forward in this technology movement that's then going to be profitable more, similar to what it is that you see happening over at Tesla.
Wow, that is insanity, Bob. You are making such important points. And, you know, the ripple effects, I know we're going to see massive sticker shock as well. Car prices are going to go up. But all of this is probably the clearest sign yet of how bad policy can destroy an economy. Bad policy equals bad outcomes for American citizens. Liz Peek is with me this morning, and she's written a great op-ed about just this. Liz, jump in here and talk about your...
You know what's so funny? When Ford Motor Company invented the assembly line, right? And he started putting together Model Ts. At that time, people said, we don't want cars. We want better horses. That's what they said. They said, we don't want cars. We want faster and better horses. In the same way that you guys are sitting here fighting against the thing that's going to be best for you long term. Most of you people have never even driven an EV, so you don't really know what the benefits are. It's funny because we've saved so much money in gas and that we haven't actually went to a gas station. And I don't know how long until we had to have the Porsche side of the shop and whatever, right? A lot of people have no clue because they've never even explored the possibility of what technology can do for them going long term. And so you can fight it all you want to. It doesn't mean that the industry isn't going to continue to change. You're the one that's going to be left behind because you're not understanding that everything is cyclical and everything is going to continue to evolve. And again, when Tesla has the most demand and they were the number one selling vehicle, the Model Y was the number one selling vehicle worldwide last quarter, worldwide. You can't fight it. You cannot fight it, bro. You can sit here and try to debate it, but you can't fight it.
Op-ed, how Joe Biden can destroy the auto sector.
Well, I think he's well on his way to destroying the auto sector with the EV mandates that he's pushed through. But I'm interested in what Mr. Nardelli thinks about Joe Biden weighing in on this strike and basically coming down on the side of the union workers and demanding that the car makers up their offer, because there are a whole bunch of unions waiting to see how this turns out. I think the implications, you say, totally right, are broader for the economy than we're imagining. But also, I think we're going to see this filter into other labor settlements that are going to raise inflation and make it very difficult for the Fed to sit still on rates. What is your thinking about Biden's comments over the weekend?
Yeah. Well, clearly he's desperate for the UAW's endorsement, right? That's number one.
Right.
I agree. I think that that's the whole reason why. And we can debate EVs back and forth. Listen, you know that I open up the panel for y'all to come up here on Friday. Maybe I'll do it on Thursday. Who knows? We can debate EVs all day. The fact of the matter is this. Biden made that speech over the weekend because he was looking for the endorsement of the UAW, not necessarily because he was concerned with what was going on in the negotiating room between the UAW and leadership over at the automakers.
Right. Number two, your other point is exactly on target. You know, the UAW is looking over the fence. They saw UPS get a 40% increase. They saw American Airlines get a big increase. They saw the dock workers on the West Coast get a big increase. They're standing in line and saying, hey, it's my turn. Mm-hmm. And so I really think this thing will go on for a protracted period, unfortunately. And again, the administration is doing nothing to curb inflation. Matter of fact, they have created it with surrendering energy independence.
It's funny because I got Yakar in the chat, right? And he thinks he knows. If you're not familiar, literally almost 6 months ago, I started investing in and having conversations with different gas station owners in order to build and invest in level 3 chargers. And a lot of y'all that's familiar with the Millionaire Morning Show, some of you guys are familiar with me saying this. One of my investments that I've been making capital investments in, and I've been having these conversations for an extended period of time about the technology, understanding it, and so on and so forth. And we actually have our first one going into a gas station, and it's costing me roughly between $50,000 and $55,000 in order to install it. Putting some money on the back end, but that's a whole nother conversation. Join the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. It shows me how little you know because you think you know, but I'm intimately familiar with the technology because I've already started putting my money up as far as investing in these gas stations to convert 1 or 2 of their pumps, each gas station, over into level 3 chargers. So I'm familiar with what it takes in order to power these things. And it's not what you said in the chat. I've been working with the power companies because you have to in order to get the level 3 chargers installed at the gas stations. So you're just talking. You don't even know what you're talking about. See, this is what I mean as far as different people saying stuff. They don't know what the fuck they talk. Let me stop. They don't know what they're talking about. Listen, you either going to embrace the technology or you're going to get left behind. That's just a fact, though. I'm not going to break it down. I'm not going to talk on here because I've already started putting together the presentation so I can show the people of what it is that I'm investing in inside of the Patreon so they can make their own decisions. The fact of the matter is, you have no idea what you're talking about. Y'all just be talking.
Inflation Reduction Act was not correct. It was all about the green movement. So nothing is being done on that side, and this president is desperate for an endorsement.
Oh, that's right. And you know, and they won't endorse him. The automakers, workers still will not endorse him. And we've got the Kelley Blue Book now reporting that the average cost for a new car last month is sitting at over $48,000. Used cars, $26,000, and electric vehicles at over $53,000, Bob. We're looking at sticker shock in the auto business already, and the strike is only in its 4th day. How?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a problem. The unfortunate part is that I think that it is always popular to blame legislators such as Biden. I do blame Biden for pandering in order to try to get an UAW endorsement. However, I will not say it's his fault for continuing to push the country as far as legislative policies. Now, if you start to deep dive into those Build Back Better plan and the infrastructure deal, it's a lot of stuff in there that I don't agree with because it's a lot of little different things that we did not take into consideration, that people didn't read because they're not familiar with what these policies are. But the fact of the matter is, continuing to incentivize people to invest in the technology that you got to compete with worldwide should not be his problem. You have to put it on the people. That's the whole idea behind capitalism, is that you can't come back and blame the president for the circumstance that you find yourself in. You got to take ownership and responsibility. But I do think that the UAW is making a mistake by not taking these deals that's being laid out on the table. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me read some of these super chats, and then I got one more thing that I want to go over in order to make sure that we get you out of here. Very good, interesting debate today. Greg Charlie says the only reason Tesla has a chokehold on the market is because they were the first. That will soon change. Teslas are ugly and will rather. Actually, you're wrong. And see, again, as usual, I appreciate you for the foul ball, but Tesla was not first. Actually, General Motors was first. Go and look at the documentary Who Killed the EV. Go look at the technology that General Motors developed, and then they actually crushed and destroyed all of those cars, and they went away from the technology that they had developed way before Elon Musk came, way before PayPal, way before Tesla even came into existence. General Motors was the first one to the table as far as electrification and the technology. Actually, their EVs were going much further than some of the EVs today. They crushed the electric car in order to continue to bolster up profits because they didn't want to move away from the oil that we became dependent on, because they were in bed with the oil companies that then killed the profitability of the electrification, and so they didn't continue to invest in it. Elon Musk came in, he took everything that he had, he put it into the company, he found investors, and then they pushed forward when it came to the electrification. And not only did they do that, they also built out the infrastructure in order to get widespread support from people. You're wrong. You're wrong. General Motors was the first one as far as the electrification of vehicles way before Tesla even came into the existence. They had electric vehicles back in the 90s. That's how I know that y'all don't know what y'all talking about. No, the Volt was not the first. The Volt was the first mainstream thing that was sold. Go and look up the documentary Who Killed the EV. Go and look it up. Then y'all would be more educated before y'all actually start saying this stuff, because y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all have no clue. The owners was pissed. They did a test where they had these owners, and General Motors was largely rumored to have killed it because they had incentives to continue to sell electric cars the same way that they have incentives to continue to keep trucks on the road, the same way that they had incentives in order to prevent us from having large-scale mass transit, because it's feeding into the profitability of the auto companies. Y'all have no clue of what y'all talking about. Y'all got to get y'all facts together before y'all start saying this stuff. I'm telling you, you don't know what y'all talking about. Bio 1656 said, do you think Elon Musk will produce a gas-powered car? No, I do not. I do not think Elon Musk, he has no incentive to do so. AP313 says, Biden has to say this. I left Stellantis last year. They always plaster Democrats over the floor. This is for votes. I agree with you. AJT says, you educate with every show. Thank you. I appreciate you, my friend. Terrell LMAO says, Biden is forcing a paradigm shift in the U.S. manufacturing chips and autos, but we're too focused in how stupid he sounds instead of following the money. I agree with that. Switching to nuclear power will have to be on the table for EVs to be used by the masses. That's partially a solution also. I agree with that partially also. Brock says, pass a love offering. Thank you, Brock. I appreciate you for holding me down, big dog. Let me continue over to the show. I got one more thing I want to get to the money. It's a man that makes $250,000, but he's smart as hell. I did watch some of this, and so I want to share it with you guys. It's a data scientist. Tech nerds is killing it out here in these streets, but I want to show you how he life hacking. It's not the sexiest article for me to show you, but it's absolutely informational, and hopefully you guys take this and look at it as an opportunity to learn a little bit more of how people look at money. That way you can adopt it into your own life. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
I figured out early in life that finances or money could play an important part in your life. Going back to my childhood, where we kind of like struggled with the money, that experience kind of like gave me the motivation and the discipline to save money and being financially disciplined. My name is Dr. Hassamullah Sheikh. I'm 33 years old. I make $250,000 a year, and I live in Orlando, Florida.
So he lives in Orlando, Florida. He makes over 200. I just want to make sure we setting the stage for this. He lives in Orlando, Florida. Now look at this guy. This is the type of guy that most women is going to pass up because they're going to say he ain't got no riz, he ain't got no game, he ain't got none of that. He ain't got no riz, he ain't got no game, he ain't got none of that. You see this man that's sitting here at the bottom of my screen? You see that man that's sitting there doing all of those equations? That's not sexy to you. It's not sexy to you, and so you don't care nothing about it until he say that he makes $250,000 a year. But I think that he's also smart enough not to tell a woman that he makes $250,000 a year until he did this. He saved over 100 bands, which means that the majority of his money he did not increase his lifestyle with. He just continued to live his life based off of where it is that he already is. But I want to get to another part of this conversation.
My compensation is broken into two parts. The most significant part is the base salary, which is around 75% of.
Yo, CNBC, y'all got to cut out the music in the background, yo. We can't even really focus on what it is that he's saying. What is Hassan Sheikh saying?
My total income, and the remaining 25% are the stocks and the bonuses annually.
So a large portion of his compensation is not tied to making $250,000 a year in a base salary. A lot of his compensation is tied to total compensation, meaning bonuses, equity, all of those different things that also contribute into it. So when a lot of times when y'all hear these people have these conversations and they say, well, man, how much do you make per hour? You asking the wrong question. You need to ask what the total compensation is, because most people that make a lot of money work for the bonuses and they work for the equity. They're not just working for the base salary. The base salary is the things that may sustain you. It's the thing that help you maintain a lifestyle. The bonus and the equity is what you're really signing up for.
I bought my home on September 27th, 2021. I paid 10% of the down payment. With the closing cost, everything come out to be $60,000. It took me only about 6 months to save about $60,000.
He a cat man. You know how y'all always say a cat lady? And look, check it out. This man make $250,000 a year. He saves over $100,000 a year, and he sometimes rents out rooms to college students to help cover the mortgage. Here's my question to y'all. Is that cheap or is that smart? He has a 6-bedroom house. He has a 6-bedroom house. Now, he didn't go out here and say, you know what, I need to be stunting on these hoes and all of that. He has a 6-bedroom house. He rents out the rooms to college students in order to help cover the mortgage. He saves over $100,000 a year. And you got to remember, he's also paying taxes. Is that smart or is it cheap? Let's continue.
As of this moment, I have around 6 credit cards. For most of the part, I pay them every month, but I always do credit card churnings. So after every year or two, I get this new.
All right, so hold on. Let me look at this budget, and then we're going to go over this credit cards. He said he got 6 credit cards. All right, so his housing and utilities, which includes the mortgage, is $2,700. This is his spending in July. Home improvement, he spent $2,300. Savings and investments, he saved $900. Food, $600. Healthcare, $331. Transportation, $289. Discretionary, probably got some of them OF subscriptions. Who knows? $213. Spending $165 on pets, $41 on subscriptions and memberships, and $23 on a phone. How do y'all spend $2,300 on a phone? On your phone plan? What kind of phone plan do y'all have? I don't know. Maybe because I got like an internet. AT&T must be kicking my ass. AT&T must be beating me up. I don't know, but I also got 3 people in my household. I got 5 phones, 3 people. So that does make a difference because Rita got 2 phones. I got 2 phones. My daughter got a phone. So, and then we got all of these iPads and Apple Watches on subscription plans as far as making up data plans for those. Okay, so I get it now. All right. So my data plans is crazy. I got 5 phones with a data plan, 3 iPads with data plans, 3 Apple Watches with data plans. Oh, yeah, and then I got my mother-in-law. She got an iPad. She got an Apple Watch. She got a phone. Yeah, I can see why you paying $23 a month because my junk be crazy. I'm like, man, how is they paying $2,300 a month? All right, so it looked like I don't see where the money is going towards the investments. He spent $7,600 last month. They must not have that in there.
New credit card with 0% APR with like 25 months payments plan or something like this for 0% APR. I would use that as much as possible and then would pay the minimum payments for like 24 months. And at the end of the tenor, I would just pay off everything that's left on the card, cut the card and start everything again.
So he's credit card hacking. So basically what he's doing, and I wouldn't advise this for most people. Actually, Dave Ramsey advises against this. And I actually support Dave Ramsey's narrative for most people. That's the context. The hacking is this. He has a bunch of different credit cards. And so they have these introductory no APR time frames, 1 to 2 years, 18 months, who knows, right? In which basically they saying that you can transfer the balance or you can use the card. And so what he does is he buys things that he would normally have to finance, or let's just say, for example, a car. Let's say you buy a car. A lot of people don't understand you can buy a car with a credit card, but let's just use that as an example, right? And so in that instance, if you have 0% interest for an extended period of time, then he just makes the minimum payment and lets his money work for him throughout that time. And then eventually, towards the end of that, he pays off the entirety of the balance. And that way he has 0 interest, and so money is cheap for him. So basically what this man is doing is not only is he making a lot of money, but he's using his insight and understanding in order to life hack. He's leveraging cheap money in order to continue to get all of the benefits, especially when it comes to the points. But then he's leveraging cheap money as far as the interest rates that come along with it, because a lot of other people say, okay, well, I'm going to get this credit card in order to build my business, and they offering 0% interest, but eventually you can't pay it off because A, you don't make the type of money, and B, you then are using that in order to maintain a lifestyle. He's very intentional in that he's leveraging the fact that they have that 0% interest in order to make more money long term, because he's letting his money work for him and then eventually paying off the total of the balance. This man is awesome.
I've owned total 3 cars during my stay at Orlando. My strategy for buying cars is that I try to get as bad of an APR and deal as possible and use this as a leverage to reduce the MSRP. So when they reduce the MSRP, I try to pay off my cars in 2 to 3 months, which I.
That is so smart. So listen, he did the math. All right, let me think about that. He said he negotiates the worst interest rate. How can you negotiate a bad interest rate? They want to give you a bad interest rate, the finance company. He negotiates the worst interest rate in order to get a better purchase price, because the finance company is depending on him to continue to pay the payment over the car for a longer period of time, which they're supposed to make more money in the long term. So they're willing to reduce the purchase price, the MSRP, the manufacturer suggested retail price, in order to get him to buy that car. Then he pays the car off within the next 2 months in order to completely reduce the interest rate. So, man, I've never thought of that in my entire life. I've never thought of that in my entire life. He negotiates the worst interest rate knowing that he's going to pay the car off in order to get a cheaper deal on a manufacturer's suggested retail price. The final purchase price of the car is significantly lower because the finance company think that they're going to make more money on the interest rate, so the finance company winds up losing in the end because they sold the car to him for cheap and then he paid off the interest rate. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Unless you, wow. Yeah, that is pretty sweet. If you have the capital to be able to do it, that's pretty dope.
Recently did. I have a 401k account through my employer. I also have an HSA account. Then I also have a private brokerage account, which I...
So his monies that he's using is basically based off of what's already coming out of his paycheck before he even starts to use it when it comes to his regular expenses. This man is incredibly smart.
Contribute on a monthly basis. The fourth account is the ESPP program for Intel.
So a lot of people are not familiar with the ESPP program. So the ESPP is the Employee Stock Purchase Plan. I believe that's the abbreviation for it. So ESPP is basically, a lot of people don't understand it, but in most companies, you can allocate up to, I believe, like 10% of whatever it is that you make to go into an ESPP. Now, the ESPP means it's an Employee Stock Purchase Plan. What it means is that you can get the stock of the company that you work for at a significant discount, right? Because it goes directly into that, but then it has to vest over a period of time, usually a whole quarter. So over the next 3 months, you get to purchase it at a fraction of the cost that the general public has, but then you make more money on the back end because A, if the stock appreciates, or B, if it stays the same price, you still got it at a significant discount. So that increases the amount of money that you make per year or your total compensation. But a lot of people can't do that because what they're really doing is they have to use every single dime in order to maintain a lifestyle. They don't have that additional monies in order to dedicate over into an employee stock purchase program, which basically increases what you contribute into it up to 10% or way more, depending on the appreciation of the stock itself, the value of the stock itself continuing to go up. So he's leveraging every tool that he has from his employer, his 401k program, the HSA, health savings account, the employee stock purchase program. And a lot of y'all need to go and talk to your HR representatives and see what your benefit package truly is. Because a lot of y'all have the same thing, but you're not leveraging it, you're not using it, or your lifestyle is preventing you from being able to invest in it. But this man is very intentional because he's not using his lifestyle to maintain his life, maintain how it is that he's living, his earnings to maintain his lifestyle. We have to be very intentional because it's so much money that we leaving on the table, all because we have to use that in order to survive. When you get out of a survival mindset, but you start to get into a thriving mindset, you can then start to take advantage of all of these different things that's at your disposal.
So I regularly contribute 15% of my income monthly in the ESPP. I would get $1,400.
Wait, hold on, fam. I know you a nerd and all. I know you're a smart guy. I know you're doing equations. I know you got your code in the background. You got your laptop up there. You want to show us that, you all into this whole, nerd life and all of this stuff. You telling me you couldn't lay an iron to that shirt? Collars is tied. You grabbed that straight out of the hamper. They put that in front of you and you decided that this is the part that I'm disconnected from. Why is it that just because you're a nerd and you're smart, you can't have any kind of understanding on how you can be socially accepted or be able to carry yourself in a better fashion by just laying a simple, I know you got an iron in the household. You telling me you couldn't lay one iron to that Timberland shirt? Why is it such all the way on the other end of the spectrum? So now you smart and you saving money, so you don't know how to iron your clothes all of a sudden. I just don't understand that. Why you can't have both? Why you can't be ironed, creased up, and be able to use your money effectively? I'm so confused, but go ahead, man. Do
I
your
would
thing.
say I would get was a
Look,
big
he ain't got no iron on that shirt either. Collars is tired. You just doing what you want to do.
for me. I was literally living under the poverty line for like 4 years.
So you telling me that during the time that he was in his PhD program, he was living under the poverty line and he wasn't making any money? Oh, wait a minute. That removes all of our excuses from running in the Victim Olympics. It's the system's fault. It's black people's fault. We need reparations. Okay, so he lived under the poverty line. He saved his money. He continued to invest in himself. He went into the right degree programs. He was willing to starve. He was willing to wear shirts with no iron on it. But then he made his way through it, and now he's making $250,000 a year, and he's continuing a life hack based off of his lived experiences. And you telling me you can't do the same thing? You can't do the same thing? You can't life hack like Hassan was able to do? And basically live on less than $14,000 a year and stay in your parents' basement and your parents' whatever. You can't life hack. You can't go and get 3 or 4 different roommates and just be poor for the next 4 years in order to invest in yourself. People do it every single day. People do it every single day. They life hack. They make the sacrifice. They forego the box. They forego money in order to invest in a future. And they're not willing to have to do things for other people that don't care anything about them in order to be able to invest in the thing that's going to be best for them in their lifetime. Make the adjustment. Make the adjustment like Hassan made. See a little bit more of what he got. $10,000. Nice, Hassan. I think that's dope. Let me read some of these super chats and get y'all up out of here. I got stuff that I got to take care of for the day. Hassan over here killing the game. Mr. P says, great news and way to start a Monday. Yeah, debating and getting tough out here in these streets. No, I like it when y'all actually go against me because it makes for good conversation. And I'm one of the very few people that like to interact with the chat throughout the show. So I like it when y'all push back because it makes a great show. Performance Chip says some EVs are not sold in America. A lot of EVs are not sold in America. Marcus Hill says, look like his phone plan is $23 a month. I know. That's what I'm saying. My phone plan is, but again, I got all of these different data and devices that's on these data plans and all of this. So it's a little bit different for me. So yeah, I get it. But I still don't understand how it's $23 a month. You getting data and phone calls for $23 a month? He must only got data, bro. Seriously, something. I don't know, bro. I don't get it. JKL says Saturn had the first EV. They destroyed them all. Anton is right. Sister Veganata says, hey, Anton, did you get my email regarding the deal to install EVs at 20,000 Hilton hotels? Send that to me again so that I can look at that inside of my DM. I mean, inside of my email. Send it to me so I can have it at the top of my email. What up, Yvette? Says love and support, big bro. What up to Yvette? Shout out to Yvette. I love her. I appreciate you. Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I know the show went a little bit longer than we usually do. We usually do it around 2 hours. Lately, it's been around 2.5 hours. I'm going to have to condense my thoughts and me going off on y'all in about 2 hours. Anyways, I'm going to be in Dallas for the show, a meeting of the minds. For those of you that's just joining, or if you want to refresh your browser, the link to come and see me in person in Dallas at the show is in the description of this video. It's called a meeting of the minds. I'm going to be in Dallas. Shout out to all of my people in Dallas. I'll be there on Wednesday. The show is on Wednesday. So make sure you tap in. Make sure you kick it with your boy. Make sure you get into that Teach Hanley. Shout out to Teach Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Also, on top of that, make sure you tap into the Patreon. I'm going to be in D.C. early November, and then we doing the Invest in Your Business where I'm going to be giving y'all grants. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 grants in order to get your business started and get that vetted out. I'm going to do as many people as I possibly can, but it's going to take you actually reading the instructions that I'm posting this week inside of the Patreon to participate. Do you need an entry fee? No. All you got to do is be a part of the Bag Chasers. I've done this before. I've funded businesses with regard to what it is that we have going on here and in Canada. Shout out to my people who've already gotten their grants and their funding. And the people will tell you that Anton is about that life. I keep my word and I send that money, and there's no attachment that comes along with it. I just like to see my people level up, and it's my way of giving back to my community that always holds me down. I love you guys. I appreciate you, but I need you to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. It's going to be crazy this week. Make sure y'all get y'all bag up. Make sure y'all get y'all bread up. Let's run it up. I need to go and find my Rolex. I don't know where I put that joint. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.